The world that we are living right now, there's so much lies, and we're living lies. Sometimes, even when you speak the truth, people, they're not interested in the truth. People, they don't pay attention to the truth. They don't want to hear it. But what is truth? What is truth? Is truth, is it what you read from the books? For example, if you want to know about Africa, is it what you read on the book? Things that different people, they write, right? Their opinion about Africa? Or is it something that somebody tells you about yourself, that this is the truth? This is who you are. For me, at least for me, the truth for me is that still small voice inside of me. Like when the whole world is telling you that this is impossible, achieving one Africa in our generation is impossible. We have been struggling for that for like 60 years and we still don't have unity in Africa. It is impossible. There's still small voice inside of me that tells me that it's possible to achieve that. When the world is telling you that, you know what, you cannot do this. I mean, you're African, you cannot make it, especially outside of Africa, because you're black, you cannot make it. There's still small voice inside of me that is telling me that you can do. That is truth for me. And each one of us, we have that instinct inside of us. Regardless of what the world tells you, regardless of what has been written in the books, because everything you see is opinion of people. They did their own research, they discovered some stuff and they wrote it. That means you can find your own truth as well. And it's inside of us, that voice. And if you never heard that voice, then I think you can do whatever you want to do, whether it's meditation, whether it's research, whether it's going to school and find the truth at the end of the day. Because the truth will be there. The world we're living in today and the system of this world, it was never created for black people or for Africans. This system, as they were creating it, like Africa, you and me, we were outside of the picture. That's why today, you African, you can go anywhere around the world and still feel like it's not your home, still feel like you're isolated, exploited, you're not belonging there because it's not your system. Our ancestors, when they were taken a long time ago during slavery and brought there, they were brought there not to have a good life. No, they were brought there to work for white men, to develop them. Today, you have a lot of countries out there that are developed because of the blood, sweat, and tears of a black man. That's how it was created. So it's true, today we're fighting for the rights outside of Africa, but I'm afraid that we might not be able to see that. And I'm being optimistic when I say this, because unless that system change, we cannot see that change, because it was never created for you at the first place. But sadly, not only outside of Africa, when you come inside of Africa, we are still struggling with the same system. And today I'm going to share with you some of the lies that we have believed for so long time about Africa and about ourselves. But it's all about the propaganda of changing the narratives and the beliefs about Africa so that we may never succeed. And I'm not going to point fingers at anyone. In fact, I always point fingers at us as Africans. The lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell you about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google, who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man, that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake, because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered, we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them. So they divided us, right? Divide the continent and give each other some pieces. When you go to Angola, Angola was part of Congo Kingdom, guys. It was not even called Angola, it was Angola. Angola, it means the kingdom. That's the meaning of Angola. Even the capital city of Angola, they say it's Luanda right now, but it used to be called Luanda. But you know, those white men, when they came, again, guys, I'm not anti-West. Don't get me wrong. But again, when those colonizers came, what they did, this is what they say. They say, if you read in the history, they'll tell you that they were not able to pronounce Angola. It is impossible. Like, you are smart, you study, you're civilized, that's how you see yourself, and you cannot pronounce the word Angola. So it changed to Angola. Luanda, it changed to Luanda. And so many other different places. If you type right now on Google, who discovered, the first person to discover Victoria Falls? He's a white man. David Livingstone, he's the one who discovered Victoria Falls. But the people of Batonga, they used to name that place Mosi Oatunya, the smoke that thunders. That's the original name of Victoria Falls. But today, everybody will say, we call it Victoria Falls. And we say that David Livingstone discovered that. And we still praise the name of the Queen Victoria. The same thing to the Lake Victoria. We call it Lake Victoria. But that lake, it had its original name the way before that guy came and discovered that. These are lies. Not only that, even the word Africa. Do you know who discovered the word Africa? You know who named our continent? It's a white man. It was not Africa. I told you that the Congo kingdom was bigger kingdom all the way to Angola. Let me call Angola. All the way to Angola. And then they divided it. People, like right now, if you see African map, there is part of Angola is inside Congo. Do you know that? Not only that, they use another way to teach different language. So people in Angola, they started to learn how to speak what? Portuguese. And people from Congo, they started to learn how to speak Belgium. Why? They were united, they were strong, but they had to divide them by teaching them different language so that they may not appreciate their culture, they may not be grateful with who they are, they may not embrace their identity and learn another identity. They were not done, they didn't stop there. Oh, they took some of our people. They found some people who, like Africans who were like strong like me, handsome like me. They took them and they took them away of the continent. Skillful Africans. These days we call like brain drain, right? They took them away because they wanted to develop themselves. And today, when you look at African, everybody out there think that Africa, they have low IQ. Who is the founder of IQ anyways? Africans, they're poor. Africans, they need support. Africans cannot survive without us being there, because from the first place, we went there, we discovered them, we taught them, we helped them to develop. Today, we're even happy when you look at South Africa, the way it developed, and we are happy about that. That, hey, look at this. But you can see what is going on in South Africa there. The division that is in that country, our brothers and sisters, it's outrageous. So the lies began all the way from the beginning to divide us, to change us, and to change our history. Today, Africans, we are struggling with identity. We're struggling with division. We look at each other differently because of our tribes, because of our color, because of our nationality, because of our languages. And we're still struggling with that. We don't think we're one people. We don't think we're one family because of someone else who had its own interests to divide and to conquer Africa. And it's still happening today. We ask ourselves every single day, why Africa is poor? Africa is poor because we don't have our identity anymore, because somebody else named our identity. And the big person to blame there is us Africans, who allowed that to happen back then and who are still allowing it to happen even today. I was asking myself, if we know how much unity means to Africa, we know that unity is power. You cannot know the meaning of power, and you cannot know the true meaning of power if you don't have unity. If you don't have unity, you don't have power. Africans, we don't know the meaning of power because we don't have unity. I'm telling you guys, power is not in the military. It's not in that. It's not about that. It's about the unity. And we'll never get to know the meaning of power if we are not united. And leaders and everybody in Africa knows that the only thing that can change Africa is unity and oneness. But we don't pursue it. But we are not ready to do it. Why is that? Because we have been comfortable for so long, living divided, losing our identity, and we are not ready to put on the work to find our true identity from the beginning, the true history of Africa even before colonization. Know who we really are as Africans. This is what I say all the time, that Africa is a big family with 55 different children. These 55 different children, they don't have same behaviors. They don't have the same, they don't look alike. Sometimes they don't even speak the same language. It depends where they grew up. But we are family. Why 55? Because 54, they're countries inside Africa, and that one country is diaspora. Africans all around the world, and they are our family. Because Africa is not just a place, but Africa is people. Me and you, we are Africa. The world is telling you this, that there's developing country, there's developed country. That's what they say. I never seen Africans say that. Who said that? White man. He said that. Oh, you guys, Africa, you are a developing country. Oh, us, we are a developed country. Let me ask you a question. Developed country means you got yourself figured out. But why all the time, constantly, you're looking forward and you try to exploit Africa to develop yourself? If you're developed, you don't need to develop yourself. You're a developed country. You got yourself figured out. And we are the ones that are developing. And yet, you exploit us. The truth is, we are all developing country, guys. The reason why there's this lie, so that you may look down on yourself. You may look down on yourself and believe that you need help, you need support, you need loans, you need aids, and you always beg to that because you want to develop. You are still not developed. What is the true meaning of developing? What is the meaning of that? And today, the system of this world was never created for Africans, and yet we still try to develop according to the Western standard. That development is having tall buildings, like long buildings and all this stuff. It's not about that. What about community? What about where people live? What about food? What about infrastructure? Do we really need tall and long building while our people are dying in Africa because of hunger? Why don't we invest that money into food? Why don't we empower our farmers so that they can produce more and Africa will never struggle with food? Today we have to ask for food from outside to come to, like the World Food Organization, they have to support Africa for that. It's shame on Africa and shame on us. Africa is a continent that can sustain itself without depending anyone, without relying on anyone for 100, even 1,000 years, because Africa is the only continent that has everything, like name it, everything we have it in Africa. Is the richest continent in the world. We cannot be free until we're in charge and we are in control of our own narratives, of our own medias, of our own economy. The reason why we're still poor because our economy is controlled by the Westerners. You can never be free if your economy is controlled. The reason why the media never talks positively about Africa because it's not African media. They have their own agenda. Just like I told you, all these lies about Africa, they have their own agenda. They will never talk positively about Africa. We want to transform and change Africa, and we cannot change Africa if we do not change. Yes, we're talking about the biggest problem we have in Africa is unemployment, but I want you to change that word problem to opportunity. For me, I don't see anything as a problem. It's an opportunity. Unemployment is an opportunity for you to discover, for you to do something to create jobs in Africa. Because in the age today, it's not about sitting and waiting for government to employ you, but you stepping outside, see the problem. One of my friends once said, you have to fall in love with the problem, because once you fall in love with the problem, you do research, you search about it, and you try to do something about it. And eventually you bring that change that Africa needs. If I want to change anything surrounding me, then I have to change from inside out. And I'll be able to bring that change that Africa needs. And youth, we're the leaders of today, we're leaders of tomorrow. We always hear that. And we have that in our hands. It's an opportunity for us to bring that change. Thank you so much.
Well, powerful words from our brother Mika. Welcome to the stream, guys. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, powerful words from our brother Mika. Sorry for that technical issues, but we are back here in East Africa. It's very chilly today, but it's a very cold night. Hope you guys, how are you guys doing? Let me give you let me do the rounds. Yeah, welcome Tanzan, welcome Son of Ra, welcome the Pro Black Perspective, Regmon Music, Yedi Violin. Yeah, it's the usual suspects today. The only today has joined us. Yeah, welcome guys. Yeah, that was Maria Antoinette. Always a blessing to have you in the stream. Yeah, today is a great day. Welcome Milga BMM. Yeah, very interesting names today. So today is a very interesting day. We're talking about Black consciousness. Hope you guys, for those in East Africa, hope you guys enjoyed your Sunday. I know you went to church. Some of you went to maybe the mosque, yeah, whatever thing you do. Some of you just chilled. Some of you went to the medicine man. Those are the real OGs. If you went to the medicine man, big up for you. That is the good. Big up for your spirituality. So yeah, today, let me see if I can share this today. Well, before even I share this, let me remind you guys that we are raising funds for our office in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. For those who are not aware that we are raising funds for our office and our studio. So let me see if I can share the GoFundMe. For those who are unaware. If you love that powerful speech from my brother Mika, then you should definitely check out the GoFundMe, contribute to the cause, because when we build the offices, then that's when you can visit us. And we'll have a physical residence for you guys, so that when you want to see Swahili Nation, this is where you want to go. You can pin a point, you can put a pin on the Google Maps, and that's where you'll find us. Some of you really love, like, maybe are in the region, maybe in Dar es Salaam for vacation, and you find, what, I'm coming. I wanna see Mika, or I wanna see the team, and I wanna or you have something to contribute for Africa. And you feel like I can offer my services, then at least you'll have a physical location for you to see. So yeah, don't donate to the GoFundMe so that we can get our offices. We are looking for 5,000 people to contribute just five euros. So it's as simple as that. So yeah, let's go to today's topic. We talk about Black consciousness, guys. I've been reading this book called The Wretched Earth. Let me not butcher the book, by Frantz Fanon. Man, it's been a deep week for me. Yeah, I reached for those who are following, actually reached page 200, and talking about consciousness. He was talking about the national consciousness, but I put a twist on it and just said, let's talk about Black consciousness. Then I Googled it, and I realized, South African brothers were already on it in the 60s. We are just behind. They're the ones who, our brother called our forefather, I don't know if he's still alive, but Steve Biko, he was already in it, talking about Black consciousness for a while now. So I don't know, I got interested in him, and yeah, let's define what is Black consciousness. Let me see if I can get the banner. But first, let me share this stuff. Welcome to the stream, guys. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, this is one. Yeah, listen to Tanzan. Don't be dusty. Like and share, and also contribute to the GoFundMe. So let's talk about Black consciousness, guys. And we'll talk about in fact, the issues that arise from my brother Mika when you're saying a lot of those issues are pertinent issues, guys. I might even play that thing in a couple of minutes again. So the Black Consciousness Movement, by the way, guys, I have a very, very disturbing video for you to just, I'll show it to you maybe as the stream goes on, but the state of Black consciousness in Africa, what is it, man? What is the state? But let's define it first. Let me not get ahead of myself. So the Black consciousness, let me see if you can see this. Oh yeah, you can see this. So yeah, the state of Black consciousness movement became one of the most influential anti-apartheid movements in the 70s of South Africa. While many parts of the African continent gained independence, the apartheid state increased its repression and the Black liberation movement in the 60s. Okay, let's get to the juicy. The beginning of movement, the beginning of the movement, where was it? Here. So yeah, let's define. Let me see. There we go. There we go. Okay. Black consciousness began as defined as the attitude of the mind and the way of life of Black people who believed in their potential and value as Black people and saw the need for Black people to work together for a holistic liberation. So in South Africa, this was a problem. The main problem was twofold. White racism, definitely still an issue all over the world. Black acquiescences to that racism, meaning that Black people had actually accepted their inferiority, which is still happening in the continent now. And this is why I have a very terrible video where just like Black people, so a lot of Black people have just accepted that, you know what, we are inferior to white people. And you know, sometimes we worship white people or they know more than us. And this is an issue, you know. So without positive or creative sense, Black people will not challenge the status quo. You know, and it was actually seen in that video what Mika did right there. Like, you don't question why other countries not developing are called why as African countries called developing while other countries are called developed, but they're still trying to develop. You know, so yeah, people are not questioning the status quo. There's another video show about the church, because you know those guys, man. You know, I know we like to say that maybe religion is personal, but is religion really personal? Like, religion did not come personal. How did it spread if it was personal? Like, if it was a personal thing, how did it spread? You know, it spread through violence. That's what I can say. Like, religion did not come to Africa personal. It came here with the bullets. And yeah, there is actually a lot of professors actually who talked about that. So the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor was the mind of the oppressed. That's the exactly. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is our minds. Like, if we believe we're inferior, then they don't even need to, you know, they don't need to do a lot, because first of all, people were wondering, like, how is it that 10,000 soldiers could hold the whole of the Congo, could hold the whole, you know, it's like, it's not, they couldn't. It was this Black consciousness that was missing. We already admitted that these guys are superior because they can't do it. They can't. Look at what's happening in just like Ukraine right now. Look how hard it is if people don't like you here. Even if you have, it's not easy. It's not easy to control a whole continent like Africa without the support of Africans. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So yeah. So yeah, this guy Steve Biko, great guy. He wrote that book. He wrote about colonization, missionaries, apartheid that made the Black man a shell, especially the missionaries, the church. a shell, a shadow, a completely defeated, drowning in his own misery, a slave, an ox bearing a yoke of oppression, and sheepish. You know, I'm just going to show you wait, let me finish defining this thing, then I'll show you that video, man. So he just describes this guy. This guy was just like, oh my God. Like I had to like take a break for like a few minutes just to get off that energy out of me. This is the first truth, bitter as it may seem, that we have to acknowledge before we start any program designed to change the status quo. The first step, therefore, is to make the black man come to himself, to pump back life into his empty shell, to infuse him with pride and dignity, to remind him of his complicity in the crime of allowing himself to be misused and therefore letting evil reign supreme in the country of his birth. Yeah. So I think we've defined it. I don't know if you can define it anymore. In affecting the Black psychological, social, economic, and even spiritual liberation, activists saw two aspects that are vitally important. First, they defined Black as the new positive definition that included all people of color discriminated against the color of their skin. Yeah. Who is really Black, though? You know, that's another question we need to ask ourselves. This is a new approach, approaching people, grouping people divided into apartheid, into coloreds and mixed race people. Indians, these are basically the people, the various ethnic people in Africa, in South Africa. They wanted to make South African African in the end. Oh yeah, when they group everybody, even in Kenya, we had the Indians. They didn't have that creativity to put colors. So they put the white person on the top, the Indians in the middle, and the black African on the bottom. So everywhere, I think everywhere they went in Africa or even outside Africa, the darker your skin, the lower you are on the caste. You had the lowest caste. So second, Black consciousness activists rejected white liberals, whom they defined as any white person seeking to oppose. Oh, this is interesting. They saw white leadership as an obstacle to Black liberation because it stifled Black leadership psychological development. As people understood fully the oppression they experienced firsthand, activists believed that the insights and the knowledge to know what needed to change. Basically, the knowledge came from Africans. Only, yeah, white leadership will hinder the development of the truly self-reliant Black society. Okay, yeah. The phrase "Black man, you are on your own" became a slogan for the development. For many people, including white liberals, this came as an abrasive startling. Some even accused the SASO of promoting reverse racism. This thing has been used even by Donald Trump. You know, in fact, in regards to South Africa, you know, when they chase away the farmers, they're like, oh no, that's reverse racism, that's reverse. Nah, for others, it led to a refreshing, emboldened new consciousness. So yeah, this party began with a few Black students, then it began recruiting. Yeah, so it's the development of this party, but basically that's what it means. So yeah, this thing has been growing for a while. Now Black consciousness is not actually just a matter of just South Africa. I think it's grown to the global Black community. Everybody is now talking about Black consciousness. It's used in the United States for the Black people in the United States. It's also used in Europe, you know. So yeah, the Black consciousness also contributed to the development of Black theology in South Africa. Christian activists, Black consciousness adherence to all influenced everybody basically. But I'm seeing a lot of Christian here. Theology. They're going to define theology today. So Black community programs, Black people's conventions, youth and leadership. Activity, yeah. So basically this is how think I've already talked about the man himself, Bantu. Called himself Bantu Steve. Okay. Bantu Stephen Biko, the prominent is this his title? The prominent figure of the Black consciousness movement was not the only student thinker writer of the community project, but he did play a significant role in forming the SASO, the SASO, spreading the Black consciousness philosophy, running and advising BPC, among other informal roles. His charismatic personality drew people to him. His death at the hands of the South African security police thus had significant repercussions for the Black consciousness movement and made him a famous martyr. Yeah. Apartheid dealt a heavy blow to the Black consciousness movement after Biko's death, when it was declared that all Black consciousness related organizations illegal. Okay. I think we're done with this article. Yeah, there's plenty of literature to do with it, but yeah, I think we're done with the article. So let me take it out. Were the South Africans inspired by the Black Panther movement of the US? It seems similar. I think all Black movements are kind of similar. Well, we're going to define theology. Yeah, we are. It's a threat. It's a threat to those who, those who don't believe otherwise. That's what I'm going to say. But yeah, let's check out this. In fact, let's just define it right now, because we're going to talk about. But before we define it, let me just show you that. Yeah, let's define it, then I'll show you that disturbing video. Then I'll open the links for guys to start talking. So
and I want to give credit to my good friend, Professor Gordon. He's a philosopher at University of Connecticut who taught me, I've learned this from him. And I think it's a very useful tool for understanding why arguments and public narratives tend to hit walls and we are not able to do anything about it. So theodicy comes from, you can see theo is linked to God, theology, theodicy. All right. Theodicy is a system of explaining away contradictions. So if you believe, like in the Christian, Euro-Christian idea, that God is perfect, what happens when there's evil? How do you explain evil when you have a perfect God? Like when bad things happen, how do people explain when we start asking, how can God allow this? How can God allow this to happen? Then what are we told?
So you heard that, guys. So you heard that, right? Theodicy is the explanation of, it's basically explaining why God is evil, why evil happens, basically. Yeah, she's made a very, very poignant point over there. By the way, her name is Professor Wandia Njoya. She's a public intellectual and she's a professor in the University of Daystar. For those who maybe might look at her work, she talks a lot about decolonization. So yeah, her channel is called Maisha Kazini. For those who wish to maybe follow her, it is think maybe I'll post a link, but she talks a lot about this stuff. So I was really inspired, and she really does, and she really does go, and she's really even active on Twitter. She's really active about decolonization, and she's a public intellectual, and she always, you know, pushes for people to think differently than what you thought, because you might be coming from colonized practices, basically. But what she talked about theodicy, is just explaining why evil happens when there's God. Basically explaining, why you should believe. Like it's basically the whole background, the whole cornerstone of just religion. Is like, oh, the pastor, that's the work they do. They just explaining the contradictions that come with the believing in God. That's what the pastor does. When you go to the pastor, is like, why did this bad thing happen and God is good? Oh, it's because of this and this contradiction. So it's like it's a whole. Let's just continue. Let's continue. Let me not. She'll explain it better than me.
The presence of evil, the existence of evil in the presence of a just God. So people say that the problem is you didn't understand. You don't understand God's will. So the problem is you. You don't understand God's greater will. So the problem, actually what they're saying is that, no, the problem is you. This has nothing to do with God. God is perfect. God knows. God does everything according to God's will. So anything bad that happens is either human beings ignored God's will, or human beings don't know God's will, and so they haven't understood that God has a greater plan. So basically what theodicy is saying, what theodicy is about, is saying that human beings will always be blamed for any problem that arises. God is always blameless. God.
There you go, people. There you go. That's the first contradiction that comes with, religion. And this is actually a huge diversion from what African religion or African morality was. For those who are OGs in the hidden hand, we actually, one of the first topics we covered was morality in Africa. It was a very deep topic for me. Personally, I learned a lot of things that changed my perspective of religion or spirituality, especially because of what Africans were practicing. You see, there's this perception and this propaganda that the African ancestors, our own ancestors, that they were not seekers of truth, that they were not seekers of spirituality, which is not true. They had the same questions about spirituality that we did, and they had found the answers. In fact, and their spirituality is actually much more different from what the religion that came with the gun, the religion that came with that prepared us for colonization. That religion talks about God being blameless, and so whatever it's a whole movement of people explaining why you should not blame God. It's a whole movement explaining contradictions. It's a whole movement of pastors, all of them just explaining why this bad thing happened to you and don't blame God. It's not so. But in African religion, it was not God that was blameless. That it was God that conferred the morality of man. That it was man who formed his own morality, and the gods actually had to submit to that morality. So the morality came from man, and it was God. So there were bad gods and good gods. The gods that did not no, that God is not a moral God. That God is not bad. There were bad gods. And so our spirituality, personally, I feel, was much more superior. It was it was much more, it was easy. It didn't require all this investment in explanations, all this investment in, theories and, just gymnastics, all mental gymnastics to prove that, no, you are the bad person. Why do bad people have good lives? Why do good, all these mental gymnastics, in African religion, that was not necessary. It was just, hey, There are bad gods and good gods, and they all conform to our own morality. So the morality came from us going out, but here it's the morality coming from God coming to us. So yeah, let's listen to our mother, our educated intellectual mother.
God has no responsibility for evil. Wherever there is evil, it's human beings who are at fault. And then, you know, what this does is that it sets up a God who has to always be explained. Because every time, and that's what the role of the church is, anytime anything goes wrong, you have to be reminded last Sunday that, oh no, that wasn't God, it was you, or it was another human being. But what that also does, the problem with that kind of thinking, which is a theodicy, that's what theodicy does. What the problem with that kind of thinking is that it also creates a problem people. Because if all problems are not linked to God, they are linked to people, then you start creating groups of problem people. So that anytime there's something that happens to them that contradicts your almighty God, you say, oh no, it's the problem is them.
You see that? You see that? Yeah, you know, personally, I don't believe that people are born guilty. I don't know how is that. Like babies are born guilty, then we're supposed to find salvation or something like that. I don't, but to each his own. To each his own. You can you believe what you want to believe, but this is what theodicy is all about. It's not me saying, it's the professor. It's the professor who's speaking a lot of truth. But she gives us a very interesting perspective now, because we cannot blame we cannot push our blame up, right? The blame is not up. The blame must be now the problem people. You know, that there are people. There's now a group of society has to take the blame, because of this contradiction of our religion, there has to be a sacrificial lambs. Let's see what she says about these people.
It's not God. So, for example, the missionaries will come, will colonize us, and then we say, hey, this God of yours, like, why is God giving us so many problems? Then they'll say, no, it's you, the sinner, who hasn't understood. Or it's you Africans, you don't know the faith very well. First convert to Christianity, then we have a conversation. Because you are the problem. And then it also creates a problem of bad faith. And that's what you saw.
You see, she said that you are the problem, basically the African. And you see, and we were just talking about that earlier, how the African is not feeling good about themselves, how the African needs to be, it's like an empty shell. I don't know. Just maybe I'm connecting wrong dots, but I don't know. I'm just saying that she just said it there, that African, that this God, this theological God, what happens is that because he is perfect, then we are the ones who are sinners, right? We are the ones who have issues. So if there is a contradiction in this world, the first thing the African blames is himself, right? We find Africans thinking so lowly about themselves. Africans looking around, no confidence. Africans, as even Mika just said it in the beginning video, Africans thinking that we have low IQ. Like how is that? How is Africans thinking? And we might get into that later, but what's up with that African thinking that we have low IQ? But oh my God, African. There's actually an African. I have a video of an African just saying that to a Mzungu, like, you guys are so great. We Africans, we have low. Like, oh my God, did you just say that? And this Mzungu just posted it in her YouTube channel. Like, yeah, look. It's like, oh my God. So this is just to see the weapons that came that are fighting against our mentality, our own consciousness. That you should just see it. So let's continue.
In this discussion of pastors, because they don't want to say that there's a problem with the way they're thinking of God. They're always saying no, this question you're asking, it came from the media. Then at one point they tell the Nigerian pastor, no, you don't know Kenya. It's, you know, the problem is somewhere else. It's always somewhere else. Or Sartre said, he was a French philosopher, he said, hell is others. So whenever there's an issue, you don't question God, you question the person. You say it's the person who is a problem.
You heard that hell is others. I don't know. That sounded a bit tribalist. Hell is others. That's a French philosopher who said that. But you see, you start in Kenya. I'm going to just say it in Kenya. There are people who are tribal supremacists. They tend to say that, oh, my tribe is God's people. You know, that's usually tribal dog whistling, tribal supremacists. They use these types of terms. And sometimes we have to understand, where is the origin of this tribalism? You know, because where is the origin of this seething hatred for other people, or the hatred for poor people? Because the other day we were talking about, nobody wants to fix the problems of poor people. Poor people in Africa looked down upon by their own fellow Africans. You know, it's like, no, it's because you are eating miraa. That's why you are poor. It's because blaming cultural herbs, cultural plants that have been used here for centuries, but now you're blaming that thing that there is no real evidence, by the way, that this thing is harmful anything, you know. But because you see the poor person doing it and you don't like the sight, it's because maybe you are a middle class, you know. As we've talked about this last time, you know, a lot of the problems in Africa there are so many, they are diverse sources to our problems. But one of these annoying sources is the mediocre middle class, bro. Like the dusty mediocre middle class of Africa. Like, you know, just go back, if you in your own time, just go back to that stream. But we might talk about them again. But these guys, we talked about them in the last stream a lot, really. But these guys, the way they're thinking is like, when they don't want to fix the problems. In fact, they want to maintain a status quo that they found after colonization. You know. But yeah, let's continue.
There's no problem with God. God is perfect. But like I said at the beginning of the class, since the 19th century, God has suffered a credibility problem, especially the Christian God. Let's put it that way. The Christian God has suffered a credibility problem because of the church being involved.
Yeah, even the intellectuals know who they're talking about. So yeah, let me know. Let me not interrupt too much. But yeah, let's continue.
Involved in injustice in Europe, and that system being overthrown, the church having fought against knowledge and science. Now science has triumphed. So what happened was that narrative of perfection on one side and a problem people on the other has now been picked up by science and picked up by government and institutions. So whenever there's a problem with institutions, people say, no, the problem isn't institutions, it's you who is not seeing the issue. And that's...
She spoke something very serious over there. You see, now this thing now spreads. It doesn't spread. It doesn't stick to the religion. It doesn't stick to just Christianity. This thing of not questioning even institutions, it spreads now because because of the religion that tells you not to question God. Now this type of mentality spreads to even the institutions. And you see now Africans not questioning. You know, not questioning. You can even see the other day, last week, we talked about the pastors. Nobody questioning the pastor, just doing all sorts of clownish behavior. You know, nobody's questioning the pastor. Nobody's because that's the religion. That's what the religion demands. Because that's how the religion came here, without question. It was a religion preparing us for colonization. You know, don't question. Because no. God is perfect. It's you who have the issues. If you have issues in your life, it has to be coming from you. And sometimes you don't even think that that maybe the economy is being messed up maybe from externally, but you can't think you have to blame the poor person. Like the poor person it's because they made some bad decisions. That's why they are poor. But then how many Africans, majority of Africans just made bad decisions? Because majority of Africans are poor, right? So and you see, the problem is it's not even the dusty middle class. Yeah, we understand them, the mediocre middle class. We understand why they're doing this, although their behavior is very self-destructive. If they had a bit of long-term thinking, they will realize, oh my God, we are even destroying our own livelihoods. But the problem is that and this might be changing in Africa, and hopefully it does, because eventually it is inevitable. But the masses, the poor people, I hope they do not believe this, because some of them do, and they should not believe this, that poverty in itself a violence against somebody. Poverty is violence. When somebody is poor, he is a victim of a violence in its own way. So yeah, let's continue.
That's what I faced during CBC. Anytime I asked a question, I'd be told, no, it's you're proud, you haven't understood, basically deflecting any kind of critique or question, because the institution must be said to be perfect. And this is where there's now coming to public narratives. This is a public narrative that Kenyans repeat all the time. And it's so insidious and so difficult to refute. They say things like, there's no problem with democracy, the problem is with Kenyans. There's no problem with the leaders, the problem is with the Kenyans who vote. There's no problem with our systems, the problem is that Kenyans don't understand it.
You see that type of thinking? This is what I'm talking about. It doesn't just stick to just Kenya. It's actually an African, and it goes global. There's no problem with the system, the global system of governance. There's no problem with it's just Africans that are lazy. And Africans believe, no, it's us. It's Africans that have low IQ. That's why we are poor. Things like that. They're not true. And sometimes we need to think, even when you're part of the middle class, the mediocre middle class. Even if you and you feel like, what, these poor people are here. There's a reason. There's something wrong with the economy. There's something wrong with the economy. There's something wrong with the system. That's why there's so many poor people around. Don't start hating on them and saying, no, it's because of cultural practices. You begin hating on your own cultural practices, trying to find a reason why to explain the contradiction. You start hating, you tell, oh, soon we're going to be saying, no, it's because, there's people who are saying that it's because we are not speaking English. People are now even hating on their own languages. But yeah, let's continue.
We are told that all the time and we accept it. We never ask, is this institution as perfect as we are being told to accept that it is? And when you ask those questions, people, like me, I get a lot of bile and pushback. We are told you're negative. Don't you ever see anything positive? Do you see anything good? Because basically what those questions are saying is that you cannot question the system. It's perfect. Any contradictions, they come because you're the one inventing them in your mind. It has nothing to do with the system itself. And then that goes back to what Grace Musila was saying about the gaze. That the problem is my gaze on an institution. But the institution can look at me, but I can't look at it. So if we are told CBC, we cannot ask questions as members of the public because we're not supposed to see anything. and ask about it. The gaze is one-sided. It's not, we don't gaze back. So it's an assertion of power. It's a theodicy. Even though God has been removed from that equation, it's still the same logic. It's the same WhatsApp group.
Yeah, as you can hear, that's what she said. It's not, it's the same logic. It's the same logic that comes from Christianity to, let me not say Christianity, let me say religion. It comes from religion to the governance system in Africa. And it doesn't stop there. It's also in the household. It's also in the society where elders can speak and cannot be questioned. Like that's, and we like to think that's not African. That's not an African way of thinking, that the elders speak, and whatever the elder, it cannot be questioned. And so we have a group of rogue elders just pushing it on the edge, making bad blunders, making mistakes for the whole societies, being corrupt, and what if that elder was colonized, and has failed to decolonize his mind? We are screwed. Because now and that's a problem all over Africa, where elders are just like, I'm an elder. And this is like, I've seen arguments, debates, between intellectuals. Then the elder intellectual just pulls off, I'm your elder. And like that's a point, like now the debate is over. Like, no, elders need to be questioned. Everybody needs to be questioned. That is how a society can progress. We should refrain from being dogmatic and pushing up platitudes. We should refrain from that, and we should question everything. Yeah, so let's continue. Let's see.
That there are things that are epistemically closed, they cannot be questioned. And if you see any contradictions, the problem is with you. It's you who has not understood the process. It's you who does not know what to do, or it's you who has misunderstood. And then now they start saying things like, we need awareness campaigns. Let's send people to go and educate. But normally, if a thing is really good, we shouldn't have to have awareness and
as you can say, if something is good, it shouldn't have to have so much convincing, If like a system is good, it shouldn't have to have so many contradictions. She has produced a lot of powerful points. I think I think we have reached the end of our video. We might pull her up another time, but yeah, as we pull her up, let's see if I can yeah, let me see if I can get a next video. But let's see if I can get another video here. Oh yeah, I haven't lost it. Here it is. Oh. Yeah, but today we are challenging. We are questioning everything.
What about the church?
The bigger challenge with the church.
So yeah, this is another public intellectual called Daria Sokola. I think Daria Sokola. Hopefully that's the right name. But yeah, let's see what he has to say.
Is that the church got co-opted into, I mean, it's part of the colonial modernity package. So, of course, it came with a lot of that baggage, they're basically trying to create an alternative government system, which, I mean, to be fair, the private sector has a 70-year head start in Kenya. And given that the private sector, its initial investment was, the colonial schooling system, the hospital system, the basic infrastructure that are supposed to be provided by the government. So when you have a country that is 130 years old, give or take, and the first 70 years of it was run as a private system where, the colonial enterprise, the colonial empire provided the public social services that are supposed to be provided by the government. By the time the government, or, the independence is declared, so to speak, in 1963, you basically have had an alternative government running for over 60, 70 years, and a lot of them don't want to let it go.
Yeah, but also the missionaries actually came before the private sector, and the missionaries, their job was to convert people for private capital. So for them, the evidence of conversion to Christianity was that now you're having a job and you're earning money from a settler. So for them, that was the epitome of being a Christian. So actually, the church prepared people for capital. So when now you have this celeb CEO turn from the 90s, then you also have pastors modeling the CEOs actually. So even in their clothes, they are talking. In fact, sometimes you can't even tell the difference between.
So yeah, this comes from I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, the pastor being a symbol of erotic, being an erotic symbol, a symbol of being a sex symbol. Like even he's describing here that look how the pastor has to dress well, has to be like basically dressing like a CEO, or dressing in a way that it is how is it? What's the name? The name starts with an I. I've forgotten the name, but it'll come from my head. But it's a flashy way, But why is this? Why is the modern pastor has to do all these things to to attract the crowd? So it actually all this. I find it very interesting that everything we talk about tends to like, oh, it's connected because it's all connected. They're all part of the perfect storm. That is. I'm trying to be less vulgar. I'm not going to be vulgar, but it's probably the storm that is dumping on Africa. That's what I'm going to say. The dumping storm the dumping storm that is dumping on Africa. All these people, all these nodes, all these connections, all these activities and events, all of them are just accumulating and just becoming a huge problem for Africans to overcome. But it all starts with the Black consciousness. So because everything is preventing this, everything is just designed that when the moment Africans think about Africans, the moment, because at the moment, at the problem, we're having a hard time even thinking outside our own tribes. At the moment right now, we are having a difficult time thinking outside our own tribe. A lot of Africans, that's the issue here. Leave alone thinking as our nation. In fact, we will be even better off if sometimes, I think Africa will be better off, leave alone just thinking about as Africans. Just think about yourself as your nation of your own, as your own nation. Instead of your tribe, just think about your nation. Just have a national consciousness. I think even Africa in itself will be better because at least we'll have nations, thinking about themselves when they go into deals, or thinking about themselves when they trade, or when they do governance, or when there's corruption, or when they deal with the people who are taking them behind. I think when at least that's at least that will also benefit Africa. But we are still fractured into our tribal cocoons, And why is that? Why is Africa not? Why is it so difficult for us to just develop a leave alone a national consciousness? Maybe saying Black maybe goes too far. But what is so difficult for us that we can't even develop our own national consciousness? That people like Kenyans are having a difficult time even just being conscious as Kenyans? You know, why is it Ghanaians or Nigerians having a difficult time being conscious as Nigerians? You know? Yeah, before even we talk about Africa, but we're going to take a short break because we have to remind you that, guys, we are raising funds. If you haven't aware, for those who have just joined us, we are raising funds, guys, for a very good cause by the officers and the studio equipment, because in the end of the day, we need to be seen. We need to be shown here that this is where we are. And for those who want to meet us, you could probably meet us in there. For those who want to, you know, let me show you this. Just a short break, guys. Don't hesitate to donate. So we are trying to reach 25,000. If everybody, just 5,000 people contributed €5, but nothing is too small. All will be appreciated. All you can just give, and we are actually taking a list of the guys who are donating, and we'll find a way to honor you all, so that even if it's in the offices, maybe we'll have a place where you can see your name, put the names of those who contributed to this glorious effort, because in the end of the day, it is for all of us. This is an office for all of us. So yeah, let's have a contribution, guys. Let me play this a little bit for those who haven't seen it, as we take a
the
short
world that
break.
we're living right now, there's so much lies, and we're living lies. Sometimes, even when you speak the truth, people, they're not interested in the truth. People, they don't pay attention to the truth. They don't want to hear it. But what is truth? What is truth? Is truth, is it what you read from the books? For example, if you want to know about Africa, is it what you read on the book? Things that different people, they write, right, their opinion about Africa? Or is it something that somebody tells you about yourself, that this is the truth, this is who you are? For me, at least for me, the truth for me is that still small voice inside of me. Like when the whole world is telling you that this is impossible, achieving one Africa in our generation is impossible. We have been struggling for that for like 60 years, and we still don't have unity in Africa. It is impossible. There's still small voice inside of me that tells me that it's possible to achieve that. When the world is telling you that, you know what, you cannot do this. I mean, you're African, you cannot make it, especially outside of Africa, because you're black, you cannot make it. There's still small voice inside of me that is telling me that you can do. That is truth for me. And each one of us, we have that instinct inside of us. Regardless of what the world tells you, regardless of what has been written in the books, because everything you see is opinion of people. They did their own research, they discovered some stuff, and they wrote it. That means you can find your own truth as well. And it's inside of us, that voice. And if you never heard that voice, then I think you can do whatever you want to do, whether it's meditation, whether it's research, whether it's going to school, and find the truth at the end of the day, because the truth will be there. The world we're living in today, and the system of this world, it was never created for black people or for Africans. This system, as they were creating it, like Africa, you and me, we were outside of the picture. That's why today, you African, you can go anywhere around the world and still feel like it's not your home, still feel like you're isolated, exploited, you're not belonging there because it's not your system. Our ancestors, when they were taken a long time ago during slavery and brought there, they were brought there not to have a good life. No, they were brought there to work for white men, to develop them. Today, you have a lot of countries out there that are developed because of the blood, sweat, and tears of a black man. That's how it was created. So it's true, today we're fighting for the rights outside of Africa, but I'm afraid that we might not be able to see that. And I'm being optimistic when I say this, because unless that system change, we cannot see that change. because it was never created for you at the first place. But sadly, not only outside of Africa, when you come inside of Africa, we are still struggling with the same system. And today I'm going to share with you some of the lies that we have believed for so long time about Africa and about ourselves. But it's all about the propaganda of changing the narratives and the beliefs about Africa so that we may never succeed. And I'm not going to point fingers at anyone. In fact, I always point fingers at us as Africans. The lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell us you about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake, because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered, we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them. So they divided us, right? Divide the continent and give each other some pieces. When you go to Angola, Angola was part of Congo Kingdom, guys. It was not even called Angola, it was Angola. Angola, it means the kingdom. That's the meaning of Angola. Even the capital city of Angola, they say it's Luanda right now, but it used to be called Luanda. But you know, those white men, when they came, again, guys, I'm not anti-West. Don't get me wrong. But again, when those colonizers came, what they did, this is what they say. They say, if you read in the history, they'll tell you that they were not able to pronounce Angola. It is impossible. Like, you are smart, you study, you're civilized, that's how you see yourself, and you cannot pronounce the word Angola. So it changed to Angola. Luanda, it changed to Luanda. And so many other different places. If you type right now on Google, who discovered, the first person to discover Victoria Falls is a white man. David Livingstone, he's the one who discovered Victoria Falls. But the people of Batonga, they used to name that place Mosi Oatunya, the smoke that thunders. That's the original name of Victoria Falls. But today, everybody will say, we call it Victoria Falls. And we say that David Livingstone discovered that. And we still praise the name of the Queen Victoria. The same thing to the Lake Victoria. We call it Lake Victoria, but that lake, it had its original name the way before that guy came and discovered that. These are lies. Not only that, even the word Africa. Do you know who discovered the word Africa? You know who named our continent? It's a white man. It was not Africa. I told you that the Congo Kingdom was bigger kingdom all the way to Angola. Let me call Angola. All the way to Angola, and then they divided it. People, like right now, if you see African map, there is part of Angola is inside Congo. Do you know that? Not only that, they use another way to teach different language. So people in Angola, they started to learn how to speak what? Portuguese. And people from Congo, they started to learn how to speak Belgium. Why? They were united, they were strong, but they had to divide them by teaching them different language so that they may not appreciate their culture, they may not be grateful with who they are, they may not embrace their identity and learn another identity. They were not done, they didn't stop there. Oh, they took some of our people. They found some people who, like Africans who were like strong like me, handsome like me. They took them and they took them away of the continent. Skillful Africans. These days we call like brain drain, right? They took them away because they wanted to develop themselves. And today, when you look at African, everybody out there think that Africa, they have low IQ. Who is the founder of IQ anyways? Africans, they're poor. Africans, they need support. Africans cannot survive without us being there, because from the first place, we went there, we discovered them, we taught them, we helped them to develop. Today, we're even happy when you look at South Africa, the way it developed, and we are happy about that. That, hey, Look at this. But you can see what is going on in South Africa there. The division that is in that country. Our brothers and sisters. It's outrageous. So the lies began all the way from the beginning. To divide us. To change us. And to change our history. Today, Africans, we are struggling with identity. We are struggling with division. We look at each other differently because of our tribes, because of our color, because of our nationality, because of our languages. And we're still struggling with that. We don't think we are one people. We don't think we are one family because of someone else who had its own interests to divide and to conquer Africa. And it's still happening today. We ask ourselves every single day, why Africa is poor? Africa is poor because we don't have our identity anymore because somebody else named our identity. And the big person to blame there is us Africans who allowed that to happen back then and who are still allowing it to happen even today. I was asking myself, if we know how much unity means to Africa, we know that unity is power. You cannot know the meaning of power and you cannot know the true meaning of power if you don't have unity. If you don't have unity, you don't have power. Africans, we don't know the meaning of power because we don't have unity. I'm telling you guys, power is not in the military. It's not in that. It's not about that. It's about the unity. And we'll never get to know the meaning of power if we're not united. And leaders and everybody in Africa knows that the only thing that can change Africa is unity and oneness. But we don't pursue it. But we are not ready to do it. Why is that? Because we have been comfortable for so long, living divided, losing our identity, and we are not ready to put on the work to find our true identity from the beginning, the true history of Africa even before colonization. Know who we really are as Africans. This is what I say all the time, that Africa is a big family with 55 different children. These 55 different children, they don't have same behaviors. They don't have the same, they don't look alike. Sometimes they don't even speak the same language. It depends where they grew up. But we are family. Why 55? Because 54, they're countries inside Africa, and that one country is diaspora. Africans all around the world, and they're our family. Because Africa is not just a place, but Africa is people. Me and you, we are Africa. The word is telling you this, that there's developing country, there's developed country. That's what they say. I never seen Africans say that. Who said that? White man. He said that. Oh, you guys, Africa, you're a developing country. Oh, us, we're a developed country. Let me ask you a question. Developed country means you got yourself figured out. But why all the time, constantly, you're looking forward and you try to exploit Africa to develop yourself? If you're developed, you don't need to develop yourself. You're a developed country. You got yourself figured out. And we are the ones that are developing. And yet, you exploit us. The truth is, we are all developing country, guys. The reason why there's this lie, so that you may look down on yourself. You may look down on yourself and believe that you need help, you need support, you need loans, you need aids, and you always beg to that because you want to develop. You are still not developed. What is the true meaning of developing? What is the meaning of that? And today, the system of this world was never created for Africans, and yet we still try to develop according to the Western standard. That development is having tall buildings, like long buildings and all this stuff. It's not about that. What about community? What about where people live? What about food? What about infrastructure? Do we really need tall and long building while our people are dying in Africa because of hunger? Why don't we invest that money into food? Why don't we empower our farmers so that they can produce more and Africa will never struggle with food? Today we have to ask for food from outside to come to, like the World Food Organization, they have to support Africa for that. It's shame on Africa and shame on us. Africa is a continent that can sustain itself without depending anyone, without relying on anyone for 100, even 1,000 years, because Africa is the only continent that has everything, like name it, everything we have it in Africa. Is the richest continent in the world. We cannot be free until we're in charge and we are in control of our own narratives, of our own medias, of our own economy. The reason why we're still poor because our economy is controlled by the Westerners. You can never be free if your economy is controlled. The reason why the media never talks positivity about Africa, because it's not African media. They have their own agenda. Just like I told you, all these lies about Africa, they have their own agenda. They will never talk positivity about Africa. We want to transform and change Africa, and we cannot change Africa if we do not change. Yes, we're talking about the biggest problem we have in Africa is unemployment, but I want you to change that word problem to opportunity. For me, I don't see anything as a problem. It's an opportunity. Unemployment is an opportunity for you to discover, for you to do something to create jobs in Africa. Because in the age today, it's not about sitting and waiting for government to employ you, but you stepping outside, see the problem. One of my friends once said, you have to fall in love with the problem, because once you fall in love with the problem, you do research, you search about it, and you try to do something about it. And eventually you bring that change that Africa needs. If I want to change anything surrounding me, then I have to change from inside out. And I'll be able to bring that change that Africa needs. And youth, we're the leaders of today, we're leaders of tomorrow. We always hear that. And we have that in our hands. It's an opportunity for us to bring that change. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Welcome, Biggie. Welcome, Biggie, to the stream.
Hey, yeah.
Welcome. Let me see, Masio Tube, Masio Tube. Welcome, Sam. Oh, Sam, welcome. I think the rest of you guys have already. Oh, Neil Brown, welcome. Yeah, where was God when slavery? I've seen that video of that was trending when that was the question was asked. Is okay. I think I don't know. Maybe I should answer the questions, but let me give you space for Biggie to have his say.
You know, when I watched that video and all what Mika is talking about, it really comes down to the Black consciousness. This is the topic that we have. At the same time, we're planning to get that consciousness to be effectively awakened and to do something about the continent. And it's up to us. Those that are waking up, we are trying to do everything that we can do to make the problem and take that problem as an opportunity, because when you're cold, what you do is you bundle up, right? The cold is not a problem, right? Because it's a natural given state. But when you feel cold, you bundle up. When you're hot, you take it off. Same thing when we are really conscious about being Africans and what it means to you individually. And every time that we talk about fundraising and to do something about something greater good for all of us, in fact, for mankind, because the leadership in the Swahili Nation One Africa is not just about Africans. Yes, it's going to be built by Africans, but we're also going to be the one day that's going to be helping other nations, because Africa without the rest of the world cannot be taken out and be independently trading with itself, doing business with itself, because we're going to be doing business with the rest of the world. When we do business with the rest of the world, this is the Black consciousness, where we're doing something about our own continent to bring it to be competitive with the rest of the world. This is not just about Africa. We're trying to explain in the past, by kingdoms, by empires, how strong of an African continent that is. There's only one tail left, Ethiopia, the longest non-conquered, non-colonized country. But guess what? Ethiopia is African. Ethiopia represents Africa. So we have something that went from colonialism that's coming full-fledged to divide and conquer Africa. As long as you didn't conquer the whole Africa, you did not conquer Africa. Ethiopia has been independent for 3,000 years. So they can do whatever they want to do, but one thing they felt, they cannot take Ethiopia. And again, we still have fights in Ethiopia because they want to really have that control. But it's too late. We're already out there trying to do something. And this Swahili Nation One Africa office will mean a lot, not only for the Africans within the African continent, but for all Blacks in diaspora. It means a lot. We're taking the first step. We're putting every effort to put this office in the map that, yes, we are an organization, a foundation to develop Africa where we can be competitive and be the winners at any given time. And also believe in the win-win situations when it comes to the benefit of the African citizens that lives in the continent, and as well respect for all Blacks that lives around the world. So Swahili Nation One Africa office has a lot to do of the future and the moves for Africa to be a better place, a peaceful place. And how we're going to be determining that is up to us. Our conscience is going to drive us to do so, because it's the most important step, because we've shown unity as one Africa in the Swahili Nation, and will be one of the first that's going to be really shining to demonstrate that we are capable of solving African problems. And African problems, let's not take it all the way through the political party. We don't need the political part, but again, we do eventually, because as we grow, we're going to need that medium also that's going to be doing this political responsibility. But right now, we're going to be hunting down for the low-hanging fruits. The first thing is the food security, the national security of all Africans. This is our priority. So in order to do that, in order to really diversify our efforts throughout the Africans, throughout the diaspora, is by establishing this office that we are here to stay. We're going to go forward, and we're going to do the best we can as Africans. Time, prayers, money, all of that need for our African brothers and sisters to the continent and throughout the world. This is our responsibility. We are accountable. If there's a problem, there's always a solution. Again, like Mika said, problem is an opportunity. That solving that small problem might be a problem throughout different conditions that gives us, oh, we've done and solved this one, so this one is going to be easy because it's part of it. I've seen a documentary by BBC in I think it was like 1927, mocking the Ethiopians, bustling, working, getting on the donkey. That's the transport. We got the chariots and all that. And one thing they told us in that documentary in BBC, he literally pointed out on one of the Ethiopian guy that was carrying wood on his donkey, and he said, this guy only knows about him, the donkey, and his family, and he doesn't even know which part of the world he lives in, but never interviewed the guy. It's just by looking at what he's doing, and he's doing the best he can. Actually, he was very resourceful to get a donkey, to get all these woods put together and have a transport. He doesn't have a fancy tractor. Even Europe didn't have that kind of big trucks. They didn't. They were just beginning. And they were mocking us how little we are, how ignorant we are. And this was a narrative that was going on the BBC. And I'll find the video, and it was so embarrassing. Instead of admiring people doing the best they can in their daily lives, he showed that video saying, "Oh, that man doesn't even know where he exists in the map." So we've been put down, and we let ourselves down, and then we trying to recover again. The minute you say one Africa, now a lot of people just get it kind of confusing, which is not, which I hate the word both, hate and confusing, but that's what I hear. The words that reflects is that I don't understand how we can be united. But well, if it is a problem, then this is the opportunity to solve our problem and bring about our conscience as Black. What can we do for our continent and the rest of the diaspora world, which are our brothers and sisters? It's what you can do. It's not what you expect something to be done for you. And I'll quote that from JFK. You know, don't ask what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. So I think that always reflects back for we Africans have to move together, bring out all the problems, talk about the problems, find solution. And by the way, when it comes to business, we're 26% entrepreneurs in the world. We're self-sustaining already. It's just now we're going to have to make it continental wide. That we are supposed to be self-sustaining continent. That will bring us to another level where we can be competitive. So this Swahili Nation One Africa office is the most important move for us as Africans, that we collaborated, collected funds to establish the Swahili Nation One Africa. I want to see a €5 now, just at the beginning of this topic. Let's do it. Let's start with €5. You can put anything you want to help out, not only Swahili Nation One Africa, because Swahili Nation One Africa represents you, and that's your office. What can you do for your office? Can you buy some pencils? Can you buy some books? Can you buy the laptop? Can you buy the TV? All the necessary things. Can you commit to those materials that we really need, to make it to the office part? Because really, if we can get some of the donations to establish this, it's also fine and dandy, because it helps anybody that has connection for those things that's been listed on the GoFundMe list is welcomed. That in fact will eliminate certain funds that we need. So those of you who can pledge the cameras, pledge any office materials, come on up front. And we're going to put the link for the email address. And that aspect, if it is something that you can do, that is welcome too, because that will cut down the expense that's needed in the GoFundMe. The most important thing is to secure the office. To secure the office, because as you know, real estate, it gets hot. So we don't want to lose that opportunity. Again, thank you so much for listening to me. And at the same time, please support also our Swahili Nation host. They're doing everything every day in order to make this happen at 2 p.m. So again, kudo Mondotezi to stick with it and bring about this beautiful show. Thank you.
Thank you, Biggie, for that powerful speech. I think Tanzan has been. Oh no! She's talking about some. But yeah, guys, contribute to the cause, to do Swahili Nation One funding. That I think I can't even say more than what Biggie has said. He has already said it all. But yeah, guys, this is an office for all of us, an office for all of Africa. And something, it's like a seed, right? When you plant it, Yeah, we're hoping for we are going to see a very big tree growing, right? And Big E has already described what's happening. It's just going to be something glorious, basically. So yeah, guys, contribute for those who can. Also, like, share, subscribe for also those who, like, that's for everybody. But yeah, give yourself, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, the aim is what, 5,000 people, €5, guys. So yeah, let's continue then with the topic. Thank you, Biggie, for that. I think you've actually talked about a lot of things, Biggie. Let me show you something here that was really I found really touched my. How do I share it? Oh, here we are.
Yeah, Jonathan said he saw that documentary. It was bad.
Okay, probably I might have to look for it.
Yeah, I'll send the link. I'll find it. There's a bunch of them.
Okay. Listen to this brother here from Kenya.
I am good. You?
Fine.
Nice.
Happy to meet the two of you as my passengers.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ben de yanımda. And also Kenyan people, yes, all Africa is power.
Skills, man. Yeah, they have skills. Like now, they are superpower. And then God given them talent more than people. First of all, they are clever. My passengers.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ben de yanımda. Why you like white people?
The white people, first of all, they are clever.
Clever?
Yeah, they are bright. And then, God given them talent more than us, you see.
Oh, you
skills, think? They have skills, man. Yeah, they have skills. Like now, they are superpower. Superpower people.
I think you are.
From USA, superpower, white man.
And also Kenyan people, yes, all Africa is power. I love African people.
No. But with time, we started learning bit by bit with time from you guys, isn't it?
Also,
Otherwise,
we are learning from you.
And now, we are learning even these things. Can you tell me the people who are making even the vehicles, assembling them?
Yeah.
Isn't it? You guys. So we started learning slowly by slowly, just from you people, isn't it?
Yeah, but we are learning something from you.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. So we really trusted you.
Thank you.
We trusted all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Asante.
Yeah, see, as you can see, the work is hard. The work has yet to be done. As you can see, our brother over here talking about how he basically just says that white people have high IQ, and this is actually this week. This is a video from this week. This is not something that was an old video. It's a video just caught this week. Like, what was happening here? That this guy, just the way he speaks, and even even said, when God gave you brains, something like that, And I'm like, oh my God. And even that person was feeling very awkward and asking, but even we're learning from you. But he's insistent that, in fact, to him, we began learning after colonization. And this is what our brother, the father of Black consciousness, Stephen Biko, was trying to fight, right? And this is actually what I'm trying to also fight, that, and I'm going to say this, that African history is not taught well. Like, this man probably doesn't know his history past colonization. And so we are stuck with this view that before colonization, it's just darkness. It's just darkness. We don't know anything that happened. Then, so the narrative starts between from colonization to getting independence. So that's why even he says that we began learning after. No, you see, he doesn't know the journey of his people. He doesn't know the journey of his people from maybe, the Bantu migrations to all the great cities of Bantu cities, to the great even Egypt. He doesn't see that. He is just blind. He is the people who have the rest of the world. Let me just talk about the rest of the world. The rest of the world has its view. They know their view from probably 1,000 of years. They have a panoramic view of their history. But Africans, we are highly disadvantaged. We have a high disadvantage because now our view of history starts from after colonial, and this is just purposeful by the, and I feel like it's not even being taught, as Tanzan said, it's not even getting taught in our schools. It's not getting taught even in the, this is why I'm also a very huge critic of the pastor, because the pastor also contributes to this, because even the pastor in his own way is a historian. He talks about history, but doesn't talk about African history. He doesn't talk about, and my brother Biggie, you've spoken well that, yeah, Ethiopia is a great country, but I feel like each African, even before we go to Ethiopia, which is also glorious African history, you should know even the history of your own tribe. Your own tribe. How did you even get? You should know. It doesn't matter. People feel like it should not be darkness. You should just know the history of your own tribe. How did we get here? I can't realize that all this stuff is documented. It's not like as if it's hard. It's actually, and I have to thank our forefathers in the 60s who began to document. And if you really search, you will find the documentations of all what happened, because when this tribe came here, I tried to look into Kenya, and they were documented. They were like, there were papers written in the 60s and in the 50s about our tribes and how we came to be where we are, and all our past conflicts or our past that. And I realized that filled me with a lot of roots sturdiness in my roots. That okay, so this is how we get. And we might not have invented rockets or something. But just knowing that this is where we came from, the farther the better. Just knowing that this is where we came from. It does wonders to your mind. It does wonders to your self-confidence. It does wonders knowing your history of your people centuries back. And so I just wish, and I also am pushing that we should all pursue knowledge and give this knowledge of our history huge importance, because even here, look at this guy, man. I can't even repeat that video, but that video hit me like, oh my God, like what is wrong, But yeah, let me give space to my sister Marie Antoinette.
No, continue.
How are you?
I'll wait until you're finished. It's okay. You're on a very good trend of thought, Mwantitazi.
Oh no. I think I'd finished my thought. That's why. I don't think I can catch it, but okay. Let me say this about the pastor, because that was where my thought was, and I was like, okay, maybe let me not go too hard on my brothers and sisters pushing, the unholy, insidious gospel of submission. That is what they're doing. That's what I think they're doing. They're pushing the unholy, insidious gospel of submission. I mean, if you look at just what they explain, the history they preach. It doesn't even, and I understand that those who argue, there are those who can push this narrative that, yeah, maybe Jesus was black, and who was it? Abraham, all those guys were black. But that doesn't quench the thirst that the normal African has, because the normal African, he knows his tribe. You know, that is the average African. That is his thirst. He knows his tribe. So yes, Abraham was black and all that, but he still doesn't have that black consciousness. You know, he still sees himself by his tribe, and so his confidence comes from what he knows about his own tribe. And sometimes we just have to be realistic, and I think that tribal history should be taught, and we should have, and you know, I realize that we already do have our anthropologists. I don't know why they don't get the time of day, they don't get the airtime in the medias or even in social media. But if you search, like I've been doing a lot of research, I thought, oh my God, these things are actually recorded. And I realized that every country, we have our anthropologists. Please follow them. Please just follow them and let them, and you know, even encourage them, because they're doing a very important job that, you know, it's very, it's like the roots of a tree. Like there is no way a tree with shallow roots is going to stand sturdy against winds, which this world is. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to say. My sister, Maria Antoinette, welcome to the stream. What do you have to say?
Thank you, Mwanditazi. I am thinking, you know, we often say that religion is personal. There is a personal aspect, but I don't think it's completely personal, because when you have a group of elderly men making decisions that will determine whether I reach my full potential or not, then it ceases to be a personal affair. You see? The decision-making, privilege of those who hold power within the framework of religions makes it not so personal after all.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, yeah, I think we talked about this I think last stream you were there, we talked about the African pastor and how he eliminates the, you know, like he the way his antics, the way he dresses, the way he does, even you just see, you know, and you can see our brother here, the way when he even referred to God, that means that even, you know, he believes in God, and his God blessed the God. He probably believes in that God was white. The way he was talking, you could probably think, yeah, this guy probably thinks God is white, and he believes that his God that he is white blessed his people who are the white people, right? So I feel like, yes, I understand those who are religious, because you don't want to, you know, it can become too emotional for them, or they can feel like maybe we are attacking them too much. But I feel like these Africans, the way it is, the realistic, the real African, the realistic perspective of these Africans I don't know, I feel like there's just an elimination, that it eliminates a lot of questions that maybe their tribal medicine men would have answered and would have made them, yeah?
I think where we make a mistake is for people to believe that if we conduct a critical appraisal of religion, that means we are against religion. I practice religion all the time. I have always done so. But I would never consent to a system in which a critical appraisal is forbidden. You see? There must be critical thinking. The intellect must be engaged, or else I want no part of that religion. Now, look at what the author Mango refers to as the colonial trinity: explorers, merchants, and missionaries. The colonizers had, each group had its role in colonizing the minds of Africans. Missionaries played a role. There's no denying this. Some people are within a religion, but they do not espouse the moral fabric of the religion at all. And we should be able to make the distinction.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question, Maria Antoinette. Why do you think Africans self-loathe like that? Like what you just saw. Why do you think that happens?
Okay, so when explorers, merchants, and missionaries came, one of the things they did was to get close to a group, find out the secrets of the group, then pit them against other groups. And it's something, I would say, complex. Even within religion, the images that they showed were always images of the people who came to exploit. They were never images of the people who were locals in the community. That is one of the points of weakness that started the whole painful affair of self-loathing. They did absolutely nothing to build the self-esteem of the locals. In fact, it was their intention to break it down as part of the process of colonization, or else they could not have been so successful in their endeavors to colonize in the first place.
Yeah, thank you, Maria Antoinette. Actually, let me try to share. Let me try to give I gave my own reason, actually. Let me try to share it. Okay. Yeah. But this is just my own personal reason. It can be updated. So yeah, it's quite common for the African to indulge himself into his ravenous desire to self-loathe. But can you blame him? Confronted with the new wonders of the world and intoxicating religion that preaches the rather insidious gospel of submission, the average African cannot help but judge himself harshly. From his position, there is an obvious inadequacy. See, and this is what happens, and you can see from that guy who he was pointing that the problem is, I don't even think the problem was him. He was pointing at an obvious, that there must be some obvious inadequacy, And so, and what happens now is an explanation is conscripted, a hidden flaw must be exposed. Perhaps, this flaw isn't disguised. Maybe the problem is just, obvious in front of his eyes. And he thinks it's me, it's Africans, we're not that smart, And the African believes that this conclusion is the result of his own logic. But as we all know, perspective matters. See, his view has been cut short by a rather nefarious committee. He barely sees himself before colonization, and the church pacifies his curiosity. The erotic pastor, aside from explaining the contradictions in his religion, plays the role of a historian. The question remains, whose history does the pastor preach? The Africans need to be deeply rooted into their own tribal history. The farther he goes, the taller the African star. An African who knows his history even from 500 years ago, he probably will be a more confident African. Even if his people, he'll still be proud of his people because, this is where my people are doing this. It just gives you a strength. And the erotic pastor is not the only suspect. Here, there's another, obviously the mediocre middle class. We've talked about them many times, but we'll talk about them one more time. The mediocre middle class that provokes the mental image of I was being I was angry when I was typing this, but they derive utility from the Western happiness. They derive utility from Western happiness, a most disgusting existence. High-level government officials that subject themselves to efficient public. These guys, government officials, the mediocre middle class, they're government officials. They go to the West. They don't even use private cars. They use public transport. They see the efficiency of the West. Yet they can come home and see the inefficiencies of their own home, and nothing clicks, you know? And so sometimes this African, he is blamed for the poor African, like my brother here we saw. He's as usual, it is him to blame, you know, because it's not the system. The mediocre middle class is part of the system, so it's not the system, you know, it's him. And that was what our sister was talking about earlier, that the theology is just explaining the contradictions in religion, and it's not about blaming God, it's about you're the one who's the problem. So this guy is the one with the problem. It's not the system, you know. So yeah, they're the ones. But you know, I feel
I agree with you 100%, and that the point you made about this undue submission is absolutely important.
Yeah. So the problem is that, in fact, the people who should be inadequate, the people who should be blamed for the inadequacy, is actually the system. It is the system that is not adequate. It's not the person. It's not the people. It's not the African. It's the system that is inadequate. And you know, and all these things, and all these distractions are designed to make the African not see that. Like, no, it's not you that is inadequate. It's the system. It's the system that is inadequate that is making you like this. You know. So. And you know, the problem is, and I was talking about the mediocre middle class because they represent the system in Africa. They suffer the worst kind of poverty, you know, because even the mediocre middle class, they don't even see that they are when you look at Nigeria selling oil to I don't know who, without even developing their own infrastructure to even use that oil. They sell the oil, then they buy it, because that's how, you know, the mediocre middle class selling oil fields. You look at all the industries in Africa are still the same industries that were there pre-colonial, you know, during colonial, as in during colonial. Post-colonial, there's no industry, there's rarely, I don't even think I can mention one new industry in Africa that wasn't already developed during the colonial time. So there's really stagnation because of this mediocre middle class, you know. So I feel like they are the ones who are the problem in Africa, one of the biggest problems. You know, and sometimes I say this, but maybe I'm wrong. But you see, this guy, this man, I don't blame him, because he feels that the white people is needed in their country to safeguard themselves from this destructive bourgeoisie that they have as a government. You know, and I see this in Kenya, where people think, people think, even you've talked, I think you've heard about this argument even in Kaizo's stream, even in just plenty streams here, where people say that white people in a good population of white people is good for development, right? That's what you hear all the time, that a good population of white people. But you don't understand the meaning, and it's said, even this guy is even in the masses, they like to say this, but nobody understands the meaning why they say this. They are saying this not because the white people are superior, although they may feel that's why they are saying this, but they are feeling that these white people will protect them from their own mediocre middle class, the mediocre bourgeoisie, because the bourgeoisie are so self-destructive that they can even shut down the internet of a whole country. But if there's white people, maybe they'll hesitate from doing this because there's white people. They'll hesitate from performing crimes against humanity because maybe there's a white population here. So, you know, these are the things that they're thinking. That is the mentality that I see, you know? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, in the end of the day, I was just blaming the middle class. But I was calling them stupid sometimes. But let me not read it all, because it might be too much offensiveness. But, yeah. That was my opinion.
Perfectly fine, in the spirit of being brutally honest for this year. Yeah.
Thank you, Maria Antoinette. Oh, we have Deborah.
Salam, Deborah.
Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you. How are you?
You're fine. We're doing okay. How are you, Deborah?
I'm fine.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Deborah, tell us what do you feel about, let me get the banner, Black consciousness.
What?
Yeah?
What?
What do you feel about, yeah? I was asking, what do you feel about Black people uniting as Africans unite? Let me just say it as Africans. What's preventing Africans from uniting and thinking as themselves, seeing themselves as Africans?
Me no using people, example, me no saying black white.
Biggie?
Me no using black people, white people no me no saying because all people is children of God. Me no using like this. But example black before like this, but now every people changing, not doing like the before. Now no say black people, no say white people. Me only for Africa. Me say for only for African people.
Yeah, I think Biggie, are you around?
Hi, Deborah. How are you? I just stepped out to grab something. As you know, I'm going under the weather. So excuse me 1 second, okay?
Okay.
So actually, she got in right in the middle of getting my medication as well, having some soup. Sorry about that. Deborah, welcome. Your English is really there. You really said something about it. It's about the narrative of the white men superiority is no more. Africa is really aware about it. Am I correct, Deborah?
Yes. ini سووا ጥቁር ብዬ አልደለም ምክንያቱ ሁሉም ሰው የእግዚአብሔር ልጆች ነን በፊት ነው እንጂ አሁን እንደዚህ አይነት ቀርተዋል ለአፍሪካ የሚመኘው እግደት ጠንክሮ መስራት ነው እንጂ ጥቁር ስለሆነን እኛ ላይ ጫና ይበዛል ነጭ ስለሆኑ ደግሞ ከፍታ እነሱ ከፍታ የሚሉ አይደለም ምክንያቱ ነጮቹም ቢሆን ጥሩ አንዳንድ ሰዎችም አሉ ጥቁሮች ውስጥም ክፎች አሉ ነጮች ውስጥም ክፎች አሉ እንደ ትናንትና የማያስቡ ስለዚህ እኔ ነጮቹም በጣም ጥሩ ነው አሉ እንደዚህ አይነት ብዙ ጋር እንደምንደርስ አልፈለግም እኔ እንደ ራሴ ማለት ነው ይቅርታ ግን እንደዚህ አይነት ፖለቲካ ነው እንጂ ብዙ ጋር እንደርስ አልፈልግም ለምሳሌ የአሜሪካ ፖለቲኮች ነው የምጥላው እንጂ የአሜሪካ ብዙ አልጠላም እኔ ወዳቸዋለሁ ሁሉም የእግዚአብሔር ልጆች ስለሆኑ ሰው አልመረጥም ይቅርታ
ገባኝ ቅድም ቪዲዮ ላይ አይተሽ እንደሆነ አንድ የሆነ አፍሪካዊ ነጮቹ ሲያነጋግር እንደ አምላክ ነው ያመለካቸው በቃ እናንተ ናችሁ ይሄን በጣም ስማርቶች ናችሁ ብሎ ብዙ ነገር አወራ ነበርና ያንን አባባሉ እንዴት ታያዋለሽ ለምሳሌ
But before that, before Helen's answer Kamaragish, basically the first thing that she said, we're all Xavier's creature. We've been born, we've been created equally, and there was an old ways of doing business during colonialism, and as well, a lot of the white also been aware on what's going on in the African, meaning they know what's going on. So things are changing for her. So she doesn't see it get involved in the racial profiling kind of thing. You know what I mean? White versus black. She always stand that we all are created equally under God, under Xavier. So that's the first part. On the next part that I asked her is about what she feels about the video that she watched, an African guy almost looking at the white being the smart, the clever, high IQ. So that's where she's going to answer for this question. Jonathan, confirm if I'm still in line. Okay.
እሱ ላይ እኮ አንዳንድ ሰዎች እኮ እንደ አምላክ ለምሳሌ እኔ ራሴ ነው የምሆነው እንጂ ለሌላ ሰው አይደለም። እኔ የማመልክ እግዚአብሔር ነው እንጂ ለሰው አልሰግድም፣ እንደ ራሴ ማለት ነው። እኔ ሁሌ የምጥላ ምንድን ነው እኩልነት ነው የምፈልገው። እኩልነት ለምሳሌ የአፍሪካ መንግስታቶቻችን ለምንድን ነው ራሳቸው ዝቅ የማደርገው? ሁሌ አነሳለሁ። ለምንድን ነው ራሳቸው ዝቅ አድርጎ እኛም ዝቅ የማደርጉን? ስለዚህ እነሱ ራሳቸው ነጮቹ ፊቱም ራሱን ተከብሮ እነሱን ደግሞ እኛን ያከብራሉ። ስለዚህ እኔ የምለው ይሄ ነው። ግን አንድ ሰው ለአንድ ሰው ከሰገደ እኔ አልሰግድም። የምሰግደው ለእግዚአብሔር ብቻ። ስለዚህ እንደራሴ
she said something. She said, yeah, you know, there are people like that, you know, from the video that they're really looking to the white. But she said the only thing that I bow and give all that is to the Creator, our God, Xavier, right? So she said, yes, you know, there are people like that, but we cannot just pick it from there as a general saying, because I think from what I see, I think we need more poll. But I think I'm going to pick on this conversation, Deborah, and what I see when the place, who's this African guy? Because remember, Africans are very entrepreneurial, okay? So is he looking for more money? Maybe he's a cab driver. Maybe I'm pretty sure, because looking at the people that were interviewing him, and just knowing, you know, this is an African thing, you know what I mean? We're just going to praise something that he was videotaped, and now it becomes the YouTube sensation that the guy is really looking into the white. We don't know how true of his statement is, because there's a mighty dollar behind it. The more he praises him, he's thinking about getting more tip for his trip. So there was a condition on how he spoke, and I have a question on that one too, even to elaborate on that, because I've seen people cater around the white people, rather catering the same line, the same school system, and not catering to the black. Because I can see somebody calling him, come on, you know, I want to buy some of the apple or bananas, and the guy's like, wait, you know, I'm serving this white woman or white guy, you know what I mean? They can say that. So we have this a flashy point where Africans, when they see white, they want to make money. I see that. You know, you'll never see kids running after a black guy. When you see a white guy running, you'll see all these black kids be running after him, because he might have some candy, he might have some money. So we're gonna be very careful, and sometimes certain exposures. But if the true nation and true discussion comes, when a politician says that, when a dignitary says that, now I have a problem. But from the local, yeah, you know, he wants to make that mighty dollar, you know, he wants to make that extra. Maybe it might be true where he sees it, because they send him this flashy thing. He's driving. He thinks the whites created it. You know, the white created it, and the white came in, and he's really fulfilling on what they want to hear. But the lady, if you notice, she keeps saying that, yes, you know, we love Africa. You know, she was very consistently telling him, you know, how much she loved, and she's learning from Africans. But he didn't pay attention to that one, and he didn't answer for her. So, excuse me.
ምን መሰለህ አንዳንዴ እኮ እኛ አፍሪካኖቹም ራሳችን እኮ ዝቅ ያደረገን እኮ ነን። እነሱ እኛ ላይ እንደምጠከሩ የሚያደርግን። ለምሳሌ ባለፈው አባይ የሞላ ጊዜ በፊት አንድ ዓመት በፊት የዛሬ ዓመት ማለት ነው እኔ የምኖረው ነገርኩህ አረቦቹ ጋር ነው የምኖረው። አባይ ለግብጽ ነው ምናምን አሉን። እንዴት ታውቃላችሁ አልኩ። ምክንያቱም እነሱ እንትኑ በቃ በየትምህርት ቤቱ አለ። የሰማን
ይሰማሻል? Hi.
I like your point, Biggie. I think you made a very important point. However, things are changing.
የሰራችሁ ምን መሰለኝ በየዩኒቨርሲቲ ከዛ እንደዚህ ያሉኝ አባይ እኮ ለግብጽ ነው አሉ። ማን ነው ሰጣቸው አልኳት። ምክንያቱ እነሱ ነጮች ስለሆኑ እኮ ግብጽ እኮ አፍሪካን ብትሆን እኮ አፍሪካኖች ጥቁሮችን ለዚህ እኔ ግልጽ ነው የምናገረው። እውነት ነው የምናገረው እንጂ ውሸት መናገር አልወድም። ግን እነሱ የራሳቸው ነጭ ስለሆኑ ወደ ነጮቹ ነው የሚገዳሉ። ምን እንደሆነ አላውቅም።
ፈረንጆቹ ነው እንትን ጭንቅላታቸው ላይ ብሬን ዋሽ ስላደረገ
እንደዚህ አለችኝ። ከየትምህርት ቤት እኮ የተማርነው አለችኝ። ውሃ ከየት እንደመጣ ታውቃላችሁ አለችኝ። ታውቃላችሁ አልኳት። ከዛ ምክንያቱም እኛ እየተማርን ስንት ኢቭን ዱባይ ውስጥ እኮ ትምህርት ቤት በየመጽሐፉ ቁርአን ላይ ምን በየዩኒቨርሲቲ ሁሉ አስገቡ።
ደንበኛ ፕሮፓጋንዳ ግን ኮመን ሴንስ ትንሽ ሰው ኮመን ሴንስ አለው። አሁን ውሃው ከሰማይ አይደለም የሚወርደው፣ ከላይ ሀገር ነው የሚመጣው። can't they figure that out? እንዴት አውቁም?
አይ እኮ ነጮቹ ስለሆኑ ምናምን አልኩ። ስለምክንያቱ እነሱ እንትን አሉ ነጮች ስለሆኑ ወደ ነጮቹ ነው የሚደለው። ከዛ እኛ ውስጥ ነው የሚወጣ። መቼ አያችሁ? ውሃው እኮ ወደ ታች ነው የሚሄደው እንጂ ወደ ላይ ይሄዳል እንዴ ምናምን አልኩ።
ጭቃ ከየት ነው የሚመጣው? ከበረሃ አይመጣም መቼም።
ምክንያቱ በፊት ኮሎኒያሊስት ውስጥ እንግሊዝ እኮ እንደዚህ ያደረገችን እኮ ግብጾች አይደለም። በፊት እንግሊዞች እኮ ለራሳቸው
ትንሽ እንትን ኮመን ሴንስ የለም። ፍላድ ሲያደርግ ያ ጭቃ ከየት ነው የመጣው? ግብጽ ጭቃ የለም። ሱዳን
አለች ፎስዋን ደቦራ ኮሌጅ ትምህርት ቤታቸው ላይ እንደዛ ነው የሚማሩት። አለቀ።
በጣም ግን ራሳቸው ኮመን ሴንስ የለም። ላይክ ኮመን ሴንስ ይሄ
የለም። there's no common sense
ይሄ እኮ ችግሩ እኮ በፊት ነበረ። ምክንያቱ እኮ ለምሳሌ እነዚህ ሰዎች እኮ እኔ እውነታቸው ናቸው የተማሩ ነው የሚናገሩ እነሱ ማለት ነው የሚተማሩ ነው የሚናገሩ እንጂ በፊት እኮ እንግሊዝ ነው እንደዚህ ያደረጋቸው። እንትን ስቶሪ ውስጥ ገብታችሁ ካያችሁ እንግሊዞች እንትን ግብጾች አልገዙም። እዛ ጊዜ ለራሳቸው ብሎ አባይ ወደ ግብጽ እንትን ያደርጉ እንጂ እኛ ወጥቶ ማለት ነው። እዛ ጊዜ ነው እኮ ግብጾቹም ብቻ አይደለም፣ እዛ ጊዜ እንግሊዞች ናቸው እንደዚህ ያደረጋቸው። ምክንያቱም አሁን ዱባይ ብትሄድ ከየዩኒቨርሲቲ ከየትምህርት ቤት ብትሄጂ የኢትዮጵያ ነው አይሉም። አሁን ቅርብ ነው ያወቁ እንጂ የግብጽ ነው ይላሉ። እኔ ለነሱ አልፈረድም።
ግን ትራንስሌት እናድርገው ይሄ ነገር ሰው እየሰማ ነው። እንግዲህ አንቺ ትራንስሌት አድርጊው እስቲ።
Me.
What
she was saying basically is that the Egyptians have been brainwashed in propaganda in their school system that the Nile comes from Egypt. It just appears out of nowhere magically and floods their desert. So they've been taught from childhood in schools that the Nile comes from Egypt. It doesn't come from Ethiopia. So there's been mass propaganda from when the British came over. And I've got a lot of ancient history books. A long time ago, when the Egyptians were black, the ancient Egyptians understood the Nile came from Ethiopia because it's common sense, because we sent over the people to the Nile and it's like a colony of Ethiopia. So they called Ethiopia land of the gods. But these people are not our ancestors. They come from the Middle East. They're Arabs. So that same lie is being told in Dubai, because they are the same people. They came during the Ottoman Turk or some invasion. So that's what she's saying.
Really? Nice report.
So there's a lot of misinformation, propaganda.
እና ቀጥይ ደግሞ
እኔ እኮ አባይ አነሳው እኮ የኛ ጉዳይ ነው፣ የግብጽና የኛ ጉዳይ ነው። ለምሳሌ እኔ አባይ ቀጥሎ የሚያነሳው ምን መሰለኝ፣ ለምሳሌ ቡርኪና ፋሶ ብትሄድ፣ ናይጀር ብትሄድ፣ ጊኒ ብትሄድ የራሳቸው ቋንቋ ነው የሚያወሩ፣ የፈረንሳይ ቋንቋ ነው የሚያወሩ። ምክንያቱም እዛ ጊዜ ኮሎናል ስለሆኑ የራሳቸው ላይ ጫኑ። የራሳቸውን አፍሪካ ውስጥ እኮ ብዙ ቋንቋው የራሳቸውን አያወሩም። ካልቸራቸው አሁን ብዙ ካልቸሮች የነሱ ቡርኪና ፋሶ የሚወስድ እኮ የራሳቸውን ብርም አልጠቀሙም። ኢትዮጵያ ብቻ ናት የራሷ ብር የምትጠቀመው፣ የራሷ ቋንቋ የምትጠቀመው፣ የራሷ ካልቸር የምትጠቀመው። ስለዚህ የትላንትና አልፈዋል። ዛሬ ደግሞ ኤምቢ ማለት አለብኝ። ለምንድን ነው ራሳችን ላይ አሁንም እንደዚህ ነጮቹን እንደ አምላክ የምንሰግድን? ስለዚህ ትላንትና አልፈዋል። አዎ ሁሉም ነገር አፍሪካ ብቻ አይደለም፣ ነጮችም ተገዝተዋል። አሁን ግን ይበቃል። የራሳችን ቋንቋ የራሳችን እንደ ካልቸራችን መከታተል አለብን እንጂ አሁን እኮ በነጮች አምጥተን የነጮች ካልቸር አምጥተን የራሳችን የጫነን ነው እኮ። ታዲያ እነሱ ምን ያደርጋሉ? የኛ ካልተቀየረ ምን ያደርጋሉ እነሱ? አሁን አፍሪካ የራሷ የሆነች እኮ ብዙ የሚያወራ ቋንቋ አላት፣ ግን ተረስተዋል እሱ።
Look, Kanesh, you're right. She's saying that we should honor our African culture, stop following the white man's culture and tradition, stop trying to imitate the white man. We Africans have an amazing culture and history, and we should be proud of it and continue our culture and traditions and not fall for the West's agenda, which is they go through it by development. That's their little model, like development, women's right, like whatever agenda it is, they keep changing like the wind. So that's what she's saying.
And never bow down.
Yes.
We should never bow down.
They're waking up now. Thanks to the No More movement, I think Africans are waking up a lot more. I believe that.
Yes, we got a lot of medias out there.
ምለው ለወጣቶቹም ለሁሉም ለአፍሪካ በቃ አሁን እንነሳለን፣ አይናችን እንከፍታለን። ብዙ ነገር ያለን እኮ ለነሱ ብቻ ነው እኮ እንደአምላክ። ታዲያ እነሱ ምን ያደርጋሉ? እንደአምላክ እኛ ከፈራን፣ እኛ ለነሱ ከሰገድን እነሱ ምን ያደርጋሉ? ራሳቸውን ከፍ ያደርጋሉ እንጂ ማንም እኔ እኮ
ይገባኛል። Again, you know, she reemphasized again every time we cater, every time we cater to the West or whoever the influence is, and we bow down and look at them like a god type of way, and the more we do that, the more they becomes superior and more. Good.
እንደዚህ ማለት ደግሞ እኛ ውስጥ አሉ ነጮችን እንጥላለን ማለት አይደለም።
የኛ ባንዳዎች አሉ ነው የምትያለሽው? የኛም ባንዳዎች አሉ ነው የምትይው?
አዎ ለምሳሌ እኔ አይደለም ለምሳሌ ነጮቹ መጥላት ነው። እኔ ለምሳሌ ሁለቱም እወዳለሁ። ጥቁሮቹም ነጮቹ እንደ ወንድሞቼ ያሉ እግዚአብሔር ፍጥረት ስለሆኑ ስለዚህ የራሳችን እኛ ውስጥ አሉ አይደል? እኛ ውስጥ አሉ ነጮች ለምሳሌ አሉ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ማለት አፍሪካ ብዙ አፍሪካኖች ውስጥ አሉ። ስለዚህ እነሱ ነጮች ስለሆነ ነው እንጥላ ማለት አይደለም። እኔ አልኩ ራሳችን እንቃ እነሳለን አልኩ እንጂ እነሱን እንጠላለን ማለት አይደለም። ስለዚህ ብዙ ነገር ይቀረኛል፣ ብዙ ነገር ይቀረኛል። ትላንትና እድል አልተገኘውም እንጂ ለምሳሌ እነሱ አፍሪካ እኮ ብዙ ችግር አለ፣ ብዙ ችግር አለ። ስንት አውረን ነው መጨ ብዙ አሁን አልሸባብ ማን እንደላከ እኮ እናውቃለን። አልሸባብ እኮ ባለፈው አንድም ቀን ኢትዮጵያን ደፍረው አያውቅም። ማን እሱ ጋር እንደሚሰራ እናውቃለን። ያው ማን ለምሳሌ እኔ የምለው ሁሌ አፍሪካ ውስጥ ሰላም አስከባሪ የሚለው ማውጣት አለባቸው። የውስተርኖች ሰላም አስከባሪዎች ይውጡ። የነሱ ነው ቦምብ የሚሰጡ፣ የነሱ ነው መሳሪያ የሚሰጡላት አስከባሪ ማለት ነው። ከየት ነው የማመጡ? ያ ሁሉ መሳሪያ ከየት ነው የማመጡ? እነሱ አሸባሪዎቹ ከየት ነው የማመጡ? ራሳቸውን የማያመሩ እነሱ ነው የሚሰጡ። ለምሳሌ ዩኤንን ባለፈው 3 ቀን ነው 4 ቀን ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ 8.8 ሚሊዮን ለቲፒኤልኤፍ ሊሰጥ ተያዘ። እነሱ እንትኑ ነው በሰላም አስከባሪ ብሎ እንትናቸው ያመጣሉ። ከዛ በኋላ የወርቅ የምኑ ይዘረፋሉ። ከዛ ብዙ እምቢ ካሉ ደግሞ አሸባሪ ነው ብሎ ለአሸባሪዎቹ መሳሪያ ይሰጣሉ። ታዲያ ይሄ ሁሉ ካልተለወጠ እንዴት እንለወጣለን? እኛ እኮ ለአፍሪካኖች እውነት የምናገር ከሆነ እኛ ኢትዮጵያኖች ለአፍሪካ ብዙ ዋጋ ከፍለናል። ብዙ አሁን ደግሞ እኛ ማገዝ እንፈልጋለን። ሁሉም ነቅቶ ያግዙን። አይ ካሉ ደግሞ ወደ ትላንትና መመለሳቸው እንመለስ ወደ ትላንትና ማለት ነው። ይሄማ አይቀርም ካለ
እንደዛ ስትይ አሁን ካልተባበርን አሁን ካልሰራን አብረን ነው የምትይው?
አዎ አሁን ለምሳሌ እኮ አሁን ውስጥኖቹ እኔ እብዚ አይደለም ውስጥኖቹ ካቶሊኮቹ ምኑ ሁለቱ ነገር ብቻ ነው ጠመደው የያዙ። እኔ አውቃለሁ ሁለቱ ነገር ደግሞ ኤርትራና ኢትዮጵያ ነው። ሁለቱን ከሰበሩ ሌሎቹን እጅ እንደሚሰጡ አውቃለሁ። ስለሆነ የትኛ አሸባሪ ሶማሊያ ውስጥ አሸባሪ አለ፣ ናይጄሪያ ውስጥ አለ፣ ቡርኪና ከየት ጎንኮ ምንድን ነው ጎንኮ የእንትን ድንበር አለው ድልም የሩዋንዳና እነሱ ኮንጎ ያ ሁሉ አሸባሪ እንዴት አሸባሪ ከየት አመጣ? ከየት ነው የማመጣ? መሳሪያ ይመረታሉ እንዴ እነሱ እስከ ሜትሪየስ ያሉ?
ኦ ማይ ጋድ! አንድ ጊዜ ዴቦራ በጣም ኃይለኛ ፖይንት ነው ያመጣሽው። And I need to translate to the best of my ability. And those of you that speak Amariña, we always call her the ambassador for our Swahili Nation One Africa, she makes very clear points and things that are very poignant, because basically the thing that we say, follow the money. And she's talking about this whole system about peacekeeping. If there are peacekeepers, if there's no peace, we don't need peacekeepers, because they're not bringing that peacekeeping. And she talks about certain entities in, for example, like Al Shabaab. She said, who created it, and how and where and why, and all that. You know, again, you got to follow the money. Every time there's something that they want to put a country in jeopardy, if you don't accept NGOs, or if you don't accept anything that comes through donation, whatever, immediately you become part of the terrorist organization. So they will fund somebody that's going to be extremist on your side and create a war. Because she said that all this terrorist organization, where did they get the arms? Where the arm comes? The key question is, who arms them? It's not African to Africans. Who arms them? Who financed them? These are the things that we have to really, think as part of the Black consciousness. Because yesterday she said there was so much topics and she couldn't interject and didn't get the opportunity to come in. So she just brought it back, and on the table she said, who created all these terrorist bands? Because definitely the arms are foreign arms. And if it is foreign, you have to follow. Where does it come from? Why? So this is something that we need to bring the awareness to the people. Because she said, first of all, she doesn't hate whites. She doesn't hate blacks. She said there's bad Africans that do bad decision, bad business for themselves. And also the white, the same thing. But at the same time, you have the white also that fights in Africa for African affairs. And at the same time, all whites are not bad. All blacks are not bad. So we have to really wake up and start finding solutions to the differences we have. So if we have the UN that's there as peacekeeping, and there's no peace in that region, and she gave an example of Rwanda and Congo, and what's their business to stay there? It's more like an armed traffic. So it's something to think about. That's how she puts it in a nutshell. Thank you, Deborah. I know she said she wants to say a lot more in these topics. I think Deborah. No. One thing I want to do, Deborah, on my diaspora show, because you're part of the diaspora, I want to take a segment of time in my show where you can really unleash, and I'm going to bring Jonathan, I'm going to bring everybody that's become on here to help out in the translation, because you have the most powerful, full of wisdom statements, and I want it to be heard by everybody in our family, everybody that follows, because he put it in such a way, he put it in such a way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it lines up, and you already got the solution to the problem. That's why we want to promote people that comes with the solution, but you need to be heard, Deborah. You need to be heard, because you have serious points and serious solutions to our African issue. And I want to take at least 45 minutes. I think we can go an hour, you and I, on interviewing you, and I'll give you all the agenda, and bring about the solutions to the problem that Africa is facing. Especially, I know you are very keen on the Horn of Africa, and that will be the topic that we want to bring you in and have a full interview.
Oh, that's the request I'm going to make, actually.
Go ahead, Marianne.
Yes, I would like to request that we include Deborah in our Horn of Africa talks. Yesterday, I was hoping to see her as part of the panel. I would be really grateful if we include her in that panel, please.
Definitely. Deborah, your Horn of Africa panel, panelist together, and we want you to participate in there. And this is per Marianne request too. Anybody on the comment section? Show your love to Deborah, to our ambassador of Swahili Nation One Africa. We always call her the ambassadors.
No,
She said in 3 months she's gonna go back home. So I told her, I was about to tell her, until 3 months, don't worry. At least we have a good sessions of the Horn of Africa while you're out there. And still, we want you to follow up with us because Ethiopia has a connection for high-speed data too. Okay, Deborah? Many messages. Hello? No. ትናንትና አይተሽ እንደሆነ ሆርን ኦፍ አፍሪካ አዲስ እንትን የጀመርነው እና ዲስካሽኑ በጣም እንትን ስላለ ሰምተሽዋል አይደለ? አብዛኛው
መስነ ሰማው እንትን የሶማሌ
የሶማሌ ኤርትራ ሁሉ እና እሱን በወር አንድ ጊዜ ወይ ሁለት ጊዜ ሊሆን ነው። ስለዚህ እዛ ፓናል ላይ እንድትገኝ ነው የምትልሽ ማርያም አንቷኔት።
ኦኬ
ቅዳሜ ነው የሚሆነው። ቅዳሜ ላይ ነው የሚሆነው እና ታይሙን ነግርሻለን። በዛ ታይም ላይ ደግሞ ዩ ዌልካም ፓናሉ ላይ ሀሳብሽን ትገልጻለሽ። በጣም ብዙ ነገር ነው የተናገርሽ። ስለዚህ በደንብ
እኔ ምን መሰለኝ እኔ ሁሌ እንትን ነው የምለው በቃ ውስጤ ያመኛል። ምክንያቱም እኛ ሁሉ ነገር ያለን እየተራበን ሁሉም ነገር ብዙ አፍሪካ ውስጥ እኮ ማብራት ውሃ ያለ ማብራት የለም። ብዙ ነገር ያለን እንደ ተራ ነገር ነው የሚያዩኝ እነሱ። ምንነዱ ለምሳሌ መንግስቱ የሚመርጥ እኮ ለክልሉ ለአፍሪካ የሚሆን ያነሳሉ። የኛ ባንዶች ተጠቅመው ማለት ነው። የኤርትራ መንግስት ብቻ ነው እነሱ ደከሙ እንጂ የሶማሌን አነሱ፣ የኡጋንዳ ሊያነሱ ብዙ ነገር ብዙ ምክንያቱ እኮ ጠንካሮች ያነሳሉ። ሌሎች ደግሞ አብሮ መቆም ያስቸግራል። አብሮ መስራት ያስቸግራል። አሁን ለምሳሌ ለሶማሌ መንግስት እኮ የቀድሙ በጣም ለሀገሪቱም ለአገሪቱም በጣም ያስፈልገው ነበረ፣ ግን ሄደዋል። እኔ አንዘርኩ ለሱ ጊዜ
You see, Deborah, she said, always she says it also. She said it really hurts her deep inside of her when she see all these things that's happening in our continent. And she said deeply it hurts her. And the way things have been, we got leadership that been changed with no other reasons but to benefit others. But anyway, and also she's concerned about and what's going on within the Horn and the way it goes. So this is something personally that Deborah repeats before. You know, she takes it very deep in concern for the welfare of African brothers and sisters. And that really, I don't know those of you that listen to Amarinya, but you understand her emotion when she states she's seeing things that could be different, that can really change. But if we don't get them now and go about them, then there was another sentence that she used on her past, that we're going to go back to the same old colonization. And she said, if we don't act, we're going to go back to that. And kind of a poignant statement, but she's got a concern, and she also have solution. And her solution is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's simple as that. And definitely, Deborah, would want to have you on our panel when it comes to the Horn of Africa. And Son of Ra, he said, I love Deborah. So you got one love. And we love you. Definitely we love you. And we love you for who you are, the way you are. It's just, you're an incredible person. May Xavier protect you, bless you, and keep coming, and may everything that you have hurts inside, let it be and let it go. And may the healing comes to you.
Yeah, thank you, Biggie. Thank you, Deborah, for blessing our show today. And I know Biggie said that you go to the diaspora, but don't be limited also to just diaspora talks. You can even come here to Mwendetezi, come here to Hidden Hand, come to, we all like your contribution.
Oh, Deborah will be all over. It's just the new on show is new. We just started last week, but Deborah is on every show.
I understand, Biggie. I understand. I was just joking. but yeah, thank you for joining the show. Thank you for your poignant point, actually. And I think I don't know. I feel like this was meant to be. This was meant to be a very long show. It was just should be kept it short and sweet. And I don't know if Marie Antoinette, you have something to say.
Okay. I would just like us to not be afraid to perform a critical appraisal of a system. This is how we refine systems, and this is how we decide what to retain and what to discard. You are not disrespecting a system by performing a critical appraisal of a system. So that's my contribution.
Thank you, Internet. Yeah, we should not be afraid to question. Actually, I agree with you on that point. I don't know. I think I'm going to ask today. Today, I will request my sister Deborah to give us a prayer. Is it Amarinya? And maybe today we'll be blessed with the Mama in Amarinya. I don't know if she'll accept, but yeah, my brother Biggie.
Deborah is going to be on you to deliver your prayer in Amarinya. አንቺ ነሽ closing prayer የምታደርጊው ትችያለሽ? ያንቺን ምርቃት መስማት ፈለግን እኛ ራሳችን ሁላችንም።
አልችልም እኔ።
ትችያለሽ። ሁልጊዜ እግዚአብሔር ውስጥሽ ነው ያለው። ትችያለሽ። ምንም አትፍሪ። በአማርኛ ነው።
አማርኛ ብዙ በኦሮምኛ የምጸልይ
እንግዲህ anybody here that speak ኦሮምኛ?
በቃ ለጸሎት ሁሌ የምጸልየው ለአፍሪካ
እሺ
አን እግዚአብሔርን በደላችን
okay there's one thing she said she's gonna pray but it's gonna be in Oromia so I don't speak Oromia but I might catch few words out of it but and I told her just pray and we all understand her prayers a blessing for all of us so we'll accept she will accept then በቃ በኦሮምኛ ነው ጸሎት የምታረጊ ማለት ነው
ኦሮምኛ ስለ እንኳን አታውቂው ጸሎትን ባያደርግ
ግድ የለም ለእኛ ስሚኝ ለእኛ ጥሩ ስለምታስቢልን በኦሮምኛ ጸልይ ይሄ ለእኛ በረከት ብለሽ ለምርቃት ብለሽ ጸልዩ ስለሆነ በፈለገው ቋንቋ ብትጸልይ ጸሎት መሆኑን ስለምናቅ ጸሎትሽን እንዲሰማና እንቀበለዋለን
በእንግሊዘኛም ጸሎት አድርጎ እኔ እንግሊዘኛ እሰማለሁ አንዳንድ ነገር አበሰራለሁ
ኖ ካንቺ እንዲመጣ ነው እንዴ ሙንደቴዚ ኮሚቴ ይቃለው ካንቺ እንዲመጣ ነው ብሌሲንግ ስለዚህ አንቺ ጋር ነው ቁጭ ያደረገው so Mondetezi you about to wrap up
waiting
I
think you're for your final
you coming in and out can hear you
can you hear me
no there's some kind of bass on the background
can you hear me
no we cannot hear you I think you got some issue with the mic. You probably hear us, but the mic is kind of bassish, and there's kind of bass in it. Tezi, you still there? There you go from until Monetezi comes. Deborah, Jonathan is up on post arigalo. I agree. I said it the other day, and we say it again. Deborah comes with it and with a great passion. You know, Nyanko master gum kakatana landan gize. Mutnagaracho coastish slona is so deep from your inside. For the translator, we just get carried on your conversation. So
እኔ ሁሌ የምናደደው ለምሳሌ እኔ እኮ ኢትዮጵያዊ ነኝ ምንም ችግር እኮ አይደለም ግን እንደ ሰው ቤተሰብ ለምሳሌ ሁሌ ሱዳኖች አሁን ከየመንገዱ የሚተኙ ጊዜ በቃ ያሳዝነኛል በቃ እና ከየቦታ ቢሞቱ ከየባህር የሚሞቱ የኛ ብቻ ስለሆነ ግዴታ እኮ እኔ ኢትዮጵያዊ ስለሆንኩ ምንም ኢትዮጵያ ላይ ምንም እንደደረሰም አይደለም ግን እኛ ውስጥም ያሞቱ ነው ግን እስከ መቼ ነው የሚሞቱ እስከ መቼ ነው ሞት የሚቆመው አፍሪካዊ የምታዘዝን እንደ ትላንትና የምነሱ ነው የሚመርጡ ለኛ መንግስት እነሱ ነው እና አንዴ አሁን ቶማስ ሳንካራ ሁሌ በሪያ ሶራ ላይክም ግን በቃ የሱ ፎቶ ቢያይ በጣም ማለት አለው ምክንያቱም የሱስ ላይ በቃ ውስጥ ሄደበኛ አሁን እሱ ካለ እኮ ቡርኪና ፋሶ አትሆንም እንደዚህ አትሆንም አንዴ ደግሞ የሱ ደግሞ የተሰው ሱዳን ላይ ባለፈው ገድሎ ነበረ ምንድነው እነሱ የሚፈልጉ እኛ ባንዶች ተጠቅሞ በዶላር ተበደሉ የዛሬ 3 ነው 2 ዓመት ከመን እንትኑ ኡጋንዳ ውስጥ የኡጋንዳ ለመንግስት ሊያነሱ ምክንያቱም በጣም ጎበዝ ስለሆነ በቃ የአፍሪካ ላይ ጠንካራ መንግስት አይፈልጉም إني أنا من البدء أولي إحنا إبزو لمن ديننا لمن ديننا بكذي
You know, in translate you know, she's talking about in translate you know, I just posted what Jonathan was saying, that she talks about it with great passion. Again, you can hear on her voice, you know, regardless whether you understand the language or not, but you can feel it, that she's talking with great passion on things that happened in Burkina Faso, that the killing, in the Uganda, another killing, all that, and why she said, why do they have to select or interfere, literally colluding with our internal voting system? So that's a question for her. When does this will end? And that really gets into her. Even though I'm Ethiopian, she says she's still African, and still having the African issue is a matter for her too, because she's African. And when is the day that we going to see that? The day that we can have a fair election within our own people electing to their president or prime ministers. When is going to be a clear day without the interference of the West? Sorry about that. So that's where we stand. And Deborah, one of the things that I want you to do, and if it's possible, pray on our GoFundMe. Right now it shows 3,581, and may Xavier bless you. And for me, again, you know, thank you, Deborah. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks, Maria Antoinette, for joining us on the panel. And as well, Mondatezi, thank you for having me. And those that are commenting, you know, Jaboka, Siga, very active, Jonathan, the son of Ra, you know, really, really appreciated that everybody was able to join in as well. And there's a lot of comments that I see. Definitely, we need to explore those comments and bring it to our different shows. Sunday is Mondatezi. He does the start of the day, and Monday is going to be Mika. Tuesday is going to be Paul, Swahili Nation, Swahili teaching. Wednesday is going to be an open mic, Mika, and different guests, so people can come in on the show. On Thursday, we might have Tanzan working on that, and as well Dr. Al-Nazir. That's going to be talking about that. And the recap is going to be Pastor Uzra. And Saturday is the diaspora show. I'll be the lead, Vicky. So for those of you that follow us, I really appreciate that. Sorry, I'm under weather and trying to recover, and I need also your prayers so I can recover quick. Deborah, Mugidi, Anchi Borominya, Ali. Baka, Borominya, Ali. Anchi Gahonan. Buraki Fandersan, Barakatu. Okay, yet. Anchi got to trouble. አትፍሪ። እነዚህ በሙሉ የሚሰሙሽ ወንድሞችሽ ናቸው፣ እህቶችሽ ናቸው። አይዞሽ።
ይሄ እኮ የእግዚአብሔር ጸሎት ነው፣ ምንም አይደለም። ግን እኔ የኦሮምኛ ስለሆነ አንተ መታቂም
ግድ የለሽም። አንድ ሰው ይዘን እኛን ትራንስሌት እናስደርጋታለን። እቺን ነገር ጆሲን ፈልጌ ነው አመጣው። አሁን ብቻ ጸሎቱን እንስማ።
እየሰማችሁ ነው?
አዎ እየሰማንሽ ነው፣ እየጠበቅን ነው።
ታዋቂ ጎፍታ ጉዳይ ታዋቂ ጎፍታ
አይሰማም አይሰማም።
ይስልኝ
እኛ እንድንሰማ
ሰዎቹ ስለተኙ ነው። ይቅርታሽ ጸልዩ። ችግር አለ?
በደንብ ጸልይ።
ነገ ነው የሚጸለይ፣ ዛሬ አንተ ጸልይ።
አይ ጸሎትንማ ጀመረሻል። እኛ እንድንሰማ ነው። ገባሽ? የተናገርሽ እንኳን አንዳንድ ቃላቶች ካወኩኝ እናገራለሁ። ከፍ በይና ተናገሪ።
ያዋቂ ጉፍታ ጉዳ ሶዳተማ ጃለተማንታ ተባገነ ሲፋተ ያዋቂ ጉፍታ የሮሳት ከነወኑ ከነዚህ ገለኒ ጉዳ ሲፋተ ይገንታ ከን ጀልቀምኔ አንገድማትን ፋና ዋንታ ገለኒ ሲፋተ ያዋቂ ጉፍታ አልካን ከነ ደብርሴ ስትገነረ ተኮ ከን ደብርሴ ስትገነረ ሳቲ ከረራ ተረከብ የጉምሰ ከፈያነ ከነ ተኮ ከን ወጭንን ብየ ከን አዱኛ ከነ ያዋቂ ጉፍታ ሮተ ከኝ ደብርሴስ ተለከኝ ረቅለንሰ ከኝ ባለከኝ ደቼ ከኝ ሁንዱማ አተ ተቆጣጣሪ ወጅንተ ንበርጋር አያነ ከፈርጋር ከኝ ባይስ እንደሆነ ጎዘል ፋቅ ብለን ሲፋት ፈረል ጀሪ ከበጀ መቃይ ነገረተ መቃይ ሲሳን
አሜን አሜን አሜን። በጣም
አሜን።
So beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Oh, it was a beautiful. It was in which language?
Orominya.
Oh.
አይ በአማርኛ ነው ያልኩ። እግዚአብሔር ወስተመስገ ሰዓት የህሳት ስለሰጠኝ ሁለት አገራችን ጠብቄ ሁላችን ጠብቄ ምድራችን ጠብቄ ያልኩኝ ብዙ ነገር
She said to bless us for this show right now, for being able to talk, and as well to protect our land, our countries, and to bless his people.
Oh,
yeah,
so
Jonathan, she's translating. You heard that, Jonathan. But by the way, this is the first one, Deborah. I'm so glad you did it. She said she's learning her English, and she'll have a prayer in English and as well in Amharic. God bless. Xavier may Xavier bless you. Really bless your heart. And I mean, she'll be the first one praying, other than English and Swahili, to really pray in Orominya, different language. And that's why we encourage everybody to come and pray. It doesn't matter what kind of language is going to pray it with, because the Almighty listens, and we listen in our soul, in our spirit. And we can share that. And Deborah, I really appreciate you for coming up. And I know you can be shy. Again, would you pray in Arabic? በአረብኛ መጸለይ ይቻለሽ?
የራሴ የሆነ ነው እንጂ ለሰው ጋር
So, yeah, she can pray in Arabic, and at the same time as her own prayer. It doesn't matter. I mean, she can pray in Arabic too. So very interesting. So next time, get ready.
Nigeria ሁሌ ሳይቀኝ ሁሌ አንድ ልጅ አለ።
በናይጄሪያ
ውስጥ ነው ያለው። በምስጢር መጥቶ ያወራኝ ነበረ። ያወራለሁ እሱም እንትን ቮይስ ልከኛል፣ እኔም እልካለሁ።
በአረብኛ ነው
በእንግሊዝኛ። አንዱ ደግሞ
በእንግሊዝኛ።
ኬንያ ውስጥ አለ።
Yeah, she got another connection in Nigeria.
አባይ የማወራ አንድ ልጅ አለ።
ምንም ያወራ
ሁሌ ትዊተር ላይ የአባይ ብቻ ፖስት የማደርገው አንድ ኬንያዊ አለ።
Oh, there's another Kenyan also, Mandotezi. She knows another Kenyan that posts a lot about the Abai, the Nile.
Yeah, is she in TikTok? Hello?
No,
Hello?
TikTok
ውስጥ አይደለም።
እኔ የምትጠቀመው ፌስቡክ እና ትዊተር ብቻ ነው እንጂ ቲክቶክ።
No, your friend in Kenya. Your friend in Kenya. Does he post it in Facebook?
እንትኑ የኬንያ እንትን ላይ ነው፣ ቲክቶክ ላይ ነው፣ ትዊተር ላይ ነው።
Yeah, in the TikTok and Twitter.
Yeah, I know her.
የናይጄሪያ ደግሞ በፌስቡክ ነው።
Okay, so you know the one in TikTok, Mondotezi?
I don't know. I know a lady from TikTok who posts about Africa and about also the River Nile and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know if it's the same one, but I know somebody. She's famous for that.
ስሟ ማን ነው? ታውቃታለሽ? በስም
እንትን ላይ ነው የሚገኘው እንጂ የእሱ ስም አያዝኝ የሆነ የእሱ ስም አያዝኝ።
She said her name was a little bit difficult. She said her name was a little bit difficult to pronounce.
Then I know it's her.
What's her name?
I think is it Swirinyakano?
It sounds like the Nigerian name.
መጥቶ እንደዚህ ያለኝ የእናንተ ሴቶች እንደዚህ ያምራሉ።
She's funny. She's so funny. Anyway.
የሁሉም የኢትዮጵያ ብቻ አይደለም፣ የሁሉም ያምራሉ አሉት።
Hold on. I missed that one.
ብዙ ያወራል።
So he proposed you. So the guy in Nigeria proposed. Yeah, he proposed to marry Deborah. So common attraction. We'll see. Propose አድርጓል እንግዲህ ሊያገባ።
ኧረ እኔ አልፈልግም አልኩት። ቀልድ ነው እንጂ እውነት አይደለም።
No, he was talking. Yeah, actually, he was talking about how beautiful the Ethiopian women are, and at the same time, is kind of proposing. She said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to get married." So she left it as it is. So anyway, that's her communication in Nigeria, and at the same time, she knows people in Kenya. So it's good. It's good. Well, Deborah, thank you so much. Mondotezi is about to leave, and we're just about to wrap. And Marie Antoinette, any keyword, and then my prayers always to both of you, Deborah, and as well Marie Antoinette. May Xavier do the fast healing on you both, to work always within you, work a miracle, and the healing progresses. You shall be healed. May Xavier bless you. And as well as I pray for Kaku and Izana, my brother, and Kuku. I didn't hear from Kuku. And as well, I pray for Professor Ezra to what he's doing. May Xavier bless him and keep him blessed and protect him. And for those of you in the Swahili Nation One Africa, the same prayers for blessing to safeguard you, to maintain this fight that we have together, to maintain the health and the being for the rest of us that are really trying to put the Swahili Nation One Africa. May Xavier bless our GoFundMe and give us 100-fold, and he shall do that. We pray in Xavier in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Mama Tezi, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap, huh?
It is a wrap.
Okay, good night, guys. I hope you
Thank you so
enjoyed
much.
the stream. Yeah, thank you.